Good evening, and welcome to the November 5th, 2025 Select Board meeting. I call this meeting to order at 7:01. This meeting is being recorded and broadcasted live by WACA TV and live streamed on Facebook. Remote participation is available using the Zoom video conference platform. Any disruption with the video conferencing platform will result in the platform being shut down. In the event of a disruption, broadcasting will continue on WACA TV and live streamed on Facebook. Thank you and good evening, Board. Nice to all have you here. Before we start tonight, part of citizens' participation, we're going to do something that we should have done a couple of weeks ago, and for some reason we just never got to it, and I apologize. That's on me. I'd love to have Stacy Grant Lewis, if you come up to the podium, if you would, please, Stacy. We didn't have anybody at Ashland Day 2025 to accept this award.
Oh, okay.
So that's what we're doing, if you don't mind for a brief moment. There's a group of individuals in town that deserve some
So
recognition.
Joe, you're gonna need to talk into a microphone.
Oh, that's right, I'm sorry.
We need to do better at that, that's.
I know, that's
it's gonna
my
be all
bad.
over everybody.
I still think I have my outside police voice, but I don't have that anymore. I lost it when I said I do. This is an award that should have been done a while back, and actually a few years ago. And the Ashland Cultural Council has done an awful lot for the town of Ashland over the years by providing grants and services to many groups in town. Without those grants, you would not see some of the beautiful artwork that we have in and around town, downtown Ashland, and to some of the concerts that we have that are provided at Stone Park, especially during our free summer concerts program. So I would like to provide and offer you this Field Marshal Award from October 4th, 2025 to the Ashland Cultural Council. It's well-deserved, and many thanks and continued success for the town of Ashland.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks very much. I accept this award on behalf of my fellow council members, some of who are online right now. We're very grateful for the acknowledgement. Thank you.
Okay.
And,
I have a couple of proclamations.
okay.
Sorry about that. They say they can't hear me at home. I hope you can hear me now. This is from the State Senate. Be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to the Ashland Cultural Council, being named the Grand Marshal of 2025 Ashland Day. For your work and all your efforts, may you have continued success. That this citation be signed by the President of the Senate and attested, and a copy therefore transmitted to the Clerk of the Senate. It is signed by Senator Karen Spilka on behalf of the State Senate.
Oh, that's lovely. Thanks, everybody. Thanks
You're
very
welcome.
much.
And we have one more.
Excuse me, you might wanna, nobody can hear you at home, we're just trying to work.
Okay.
Okay. Are you good?
Are you good? Can you hear me now?
No, it's still not letting me
Sorry, just.
Okay. Okay. So it isn't my voice. They're just having difficulties. Whew. A little bit. Could be both. A mixture of both. And secondly, this is from Representative Lewis from the House of Commonwealth, the House of Representatives. And again, it's to the Ashland Cultural Council in recognition of receiving the Grand Marshal Award and your continued contribution to enrich the tapestry of the Ashland's diverse art scene. And this entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses and hopes for future good future and continued success in its endeavors in Ashland. There you are, Stacy. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And
We
if
thank
you
you collectively.
would you like to say something? Hopefully somebody can hear us.
Sure.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Representative Lewis and the State Senate. We are more than pleased to receive this award or this acknowledgement, recognition. I am lucky to be on a council of really go-getting women. Hopefully men will join as well. Men, you're welcome to join. Who work tirelessly and for free to make things happen here. And some of them have been on the council much longer than I. I have been on it going on 3 years. And coming to the end of my time there as our other people. So I just want to say just thank you for the recognition. It feels really good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So if you can't hear me at that podium, can you hear me now?
It was just the Zoom that couldn't be recorded, but we're good now.
We're good now? Okay. For those folks who could not hear, we just provided a presentation and several citations to the Ashland Cultural Council for the continued efforts and great work that they have provided Ashland over the many years since their inception. And if it wasn't for them, you wouldn't see all these beautiful pieces of art and sculptures that you see downtown. So thank you again very much. Thank you, Stacy, for representing the Ashland Arts Council. Continued success. Thank you again. Okay, with that, we still have a few minutes. I'll open it up to citizens' participation. If there's anybody that would like to speak, hopefully that microphone is working again.
Yes, Mark Sony, 119 Main Street. Yes, no, can you hear me? Yes. Okay, thank you. It was just you, Joe.
I broke the mic.
I would like to say, I'd like to ask two questions, or one question and a comment. How much longer, and it's not a complaint, how much longer is the pipe construction going to be going on in this town?
I'm assuming you want it, you're asking that
Yes.
to Michael. Okay, thank you, because I couldn't tell you when that's going to happen.
The pipe, like the water sewer pipes?
The road work and stuff.
Yeah. That's, I was thinking about answering it that way. In regards to this, but I'm assuming you're talking about the Union Street project, Mark.
Yes, the 135.
Yeah. So I don't have an exact date for you on that one, but I can get that for you. But yeah, I think, unfortunately, when you don't invest in your infrastructure for a few decades, you end up having a pretty big backlog. So, I do anticipate us having to do a lot of this work for many years.
Okay. I know on the agenda is about talking about SNAP in this town. I'm one of the recipients of SNAP itself, out of the 1,100 plus in this town. And I was just wondering, is it going to be a positive or hopeful or both comment tonight about that?
I'll be interested to see where the discussion goes. I think specifically, we're going to talk about the situation as we know it is now, and really kind of stick to the facts there.
And are we engulfed like the whole country about the federal government shutdown and all that?
Say that first part again, Mark.
We're engulfed we're swallowed up by the federal government shutdown?
Unfortunately, yes, that does have some consequences.
Okay, because I'm on SNAP, but I did my food shop and my card didn't work. Hoping it's going to work after Friday. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark. I think a lot of people are in the same scenario that you're in, and that's unfortunate, but many folks in town, and I know that the town and our food pantry is doing the best they can with what they have. I know that if anybody's out there listening and they want to contribute food, probably one of the best things to do is to get gift cards to provide to the food pantry so that people can, purchase food and make it a little easier, because we're kind of short on space at the moment. Type of deal, so that may.
Well, I think, it's a combination of space and understanding that with this developing need. Just the generosity of the community. We know that it's probably going to overwhelm our space if they look at perishables and stuff. So we just want to make sure that if people are taking the time and to be generous, and that we get its full effect for the people that they're
Sounds
helping.
good. Thank you.
Is there a preferred amount, like if you wanted to contribute $100, would you be better off to give them 4 $25 cards, or how would that work, do you think? Do they hand out the card, or do they go out and buy it?
Are you talking people who are making the donation? Is that what you're asking? So we've seen, people give $25 gift cards to the food pantry. We're thankful for any sort of monetary donation, whether it's gift cards or, a monetary.
Right, I was just thinking that if you give them to a person so they can go out and buy their own food, then it might be better to be in.
Yeah, the
like
smaller $25
$25
gift
or
card
something like
increments
that?
are really helpful, yes.
Good point.
Thank you. Okay, we have, next on our agenda, at 7:15, we have Mr. Donald Clark to discuss a tax classification hearing. And I think we may be a little ahead of schedule, but seeing that Don's here, come on up and help yourself.
Good evening, all of you. I know some of you's met me once anyway, but my name is, I am Don Clark, the Director of Assessment for the town. A little bit about myself, I've been assessing since the year 2000. Prior to that, I was a contractor, owned my own companies in 2 different states, doing construction for approximately 30 years. So I went from swinging the hammer to pushing the pencil. It's a little bit easier. With that, is it okay to start, Joe?
Absolutely.
Okay,
You're good to go.
all right.
Do you have a presentation you want to share on the board so that, on the screen, so that
Yeah.
everybody can, at home can see it as well?
How do I kick it up there?
I failed ABA, so don't even look at me.
Catherine to the rescue.
One button away, right?
Few people in the audience are going, AVA? What's AVA? Audio visual aids.
Oh, AVA. I thought you
AVA.
said the ABA.
Oh, no, AV.
Actually, at first I thought you said ADA.
Really? Oh, you.
Is the podium co-hosted?
Let's make it mandatory.
Thank you very much, Stacy, thank you. Enjoy the weekend. When it gets there. Okay. I just wasn't sure if she was gonna provide any additional information. Okay.
Joe, it looks like we're going to start right on time.
Yep. Yeah, I thought we were gonna get out early.
I'm joining from the podium. I need co-host privileges.
While we're waiting, would you like to move down to item number 5, the consent agenda? And,
Oh, nope, got it working.
okay. What? Guess we'll hold off on that.
Make sure this is still muted. Yep. I'm just gonna completely hide the Zoom you're sharing now. Yeah. So you, yeah, you can just start the presentation. Sorry about that.
Oh, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, so the purpose for tonight's classification hearing is the Select Board must hold a classification hearing each year and consider the tax rate options available to the town under property tax classification. The Board of Assessors will make a recommendation to the Select Board to consider whether to continue with the single tax rate or go to a split tax rate, and whether or not to consider accepting any of the 3 state-allowed exemptions. The town of Ashland has 91% residential, 6.5% commercial industrial, and 1.5 personal property. Due to these percentages, splitting the tax rate would put a heavier burden on the commercial industry, commercial and industrial properties throughout the town, with minimal relief to the residential properties. It is important to remember the majority of the personal property taxes that are paid within the town are paid by our commercial and industrial properties as well. Therefore, a shift or a split could cause a larger impact on the businesses throughout town, which in turn could influence some commercial industrial businesses to leave the town. The next slide is setting the values. The assessed residential values is based on comparable sales, market analysis of the prior year's sales. The assessed commercial value is based on income and expense, as well as comparable sales analysis and cost analysis. The Department of Revenue approves these adjusted values proposed by the assessor's office annually. Setting the rate. Massachusetts statute requires the assessors to assess all properties at its fair and full and fair cash value as of January 1st of each year. Interim year adjustments are adjustments from the market sales analysis during non-certification years. Full property valuations, also known as certification, is required and completed every 5 years. The town of Ashland is currently in an interim year. The next certification is 2029. The tax rate is derived from total taxable real estate and personal property, town meeting appropriation, state aid, town revenues, town expenditures, new growth, debt exclusion, and overrides. What is new growth? New growth is the increase in property values due to new construction, additions to properties, subdivisions, new condominiums, and the return of exempt properties to the tax rolls. New growth is added to the levy limit and increased the town's taxing capacity.
Excuse me, can I just jump in right there?
Absolutely.
So where would an apartment building fall in that, among those?
So apartment buildings would also be new growth if it's, in other words, you're thinking of Chestnut, 90?
Yeah, any apartment building, but in these, you know, groups that you've listed here?
Sure.
Which one, where would it fall?
Would it be residential or commercial, I think, maybe?
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Right. It's well, it depends on the property itself, actually. If there's any commercial involved in the property, if there's a certain area put aside for commercial, the apartments themselves fall under residential.
Can I ask a question with respect to that? Could go one step further.
Sure.
If you have pardon me, if you have a developer that built that unit and they're using it as income, why would that not be considered commercial?
Rent, just like a rental property is residential, it's not commercial. So the fact that it's all in one building or separate apartments throughout town, in other words.
Okay.
In terms of residential or commercial in this town, as it stands now, it wouldn't matter, right? Because it's the same.
Right, because we have, it's a
one
shared,
tax
it's
rate.
one tax rate.
Right.
Yeah,
It's more, it seems it's so different than, you know, a single-family home or even, say, multiple family home, maybe up to 4 or something
right.
like that. An apartment, a building with 250 apartments seems
Sure.
very different, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Don, that might be, I think, because I'm under the assumption that you can't, you know, you don't have the ability to apply a commercial rate to a multifamily property, even one that's 5 units or more.
That's correct.
That might be something that we want to explore, you know?
Sure. Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I have a question as well. So when we talk about new growth as far as the budget goes, when we look at new growth, you know, it's a line item on our budget. How is that, maybe it's like, I know this is probably too technical for what we're trying to do tonight, but I'm curious like how it gets calculated for something like an apartment building. Because like we estimate like new growth every year based on what is happening in town, but I'm curious, like, you know, how we kind of come to that number of what new growth actually is. Is that something that the Board of Assessors calculates? Is it something that the state applies, or how does that work?
Well, it's in our CAMA system, so that it goes through the Department of Revenue, so it
Okay.
is state. So to answer your question about, I think you're leading back towards more units as one. It's still the assessed value on the entire property, so it's growth because it's new construction.
Okay.
In other words, if something's built, we're looking at the assessed value of that entire property to figure out what the growth is, less the land.
Less than,
The
okay.
land's not included.
Okay, so if it's, say, 250 units
Yep.
versus 16 units, like, is the calculation sort of?
Per unit, we look at the
Okay.
rents. Because you
Okay.
can look at cost as well, and you
Okay.
can look at income. So you look at both sides of that
Okay,
and take it into consideration when you're looking at a large building like that, as opposed to 4 or 5 apartments. We look at the income on the, you know, on the apartments as well,
yep.
but, yeah.
Do they have to be rented, or do they, and producing actual income, or is it just the ownership? It's just the ownership, right?
Yeah, and we're also, you know, we'll give them adjustments for vacancy when we look at cost. So, okay?
And one other question too,
Sure.
sorry to kind of.
No, it's
you know,
okay.
Talk a lot about this, but it's something that we're dealing a lot with right now, so it's top of mind. So for like an assessed value of a property, say an apartment complex, is the, because I think there's some preconceived notions that, you know, apartment complexes don't pay taxes, or they pay less taxes, or something along those lines. But with the assessed value, they are, the property owner is paying its fair share of taxes, correct?
That's correct.
Depending on the assessment, okay.
Just if not for right this minute, but maybe sometime in the not-too-distant future, you could send us an example of an apartment complex in town that has some kind of history here.
Sure.
And that we would be able to see what it's valued at.
Sure, absolutely. Yep. Okay. Everything?
Actually, I'm going to jump in just to maybe ask Don to explain something from a different angle, which I think would flesh a lot of this out. So Don, for example, when we talked today about 10 to 60 Main Street, and I think you had the valuation, and it was conservative, at 77 million.
Right.
How did you come up with that figure?
77.
million. Yeah.
So, again, there's both ways. You can do it. Well, you got to look at the cost, first of all, to construct it. And then you want to look at how many 1-bedrooms, how many 2-bedrooms, how many 3-bedrooms, what those will bring in for rents. And you want those two numbers to work out pretty close to make it fair. So you're looking at both sides of that to come up with that final assessment. And then you're taking the assessed value divided by 1,000 and multiplying that by the tax rate, and that is the amount of growth that you're getting for that complex, less the land value. So that's how it works out,
Does that help flesh that out? Okay.
okay? We good? Okay, so back to new growth. The past year, there were over 490 permits. A majority of those required a visit from the assessor's office to evaluate the work that had been done, then determining if these changes could be considered growth by the Department of Revenue's guidelines. The history of growth. So this slide represents the total growth from year to year. The assessor's office has been working extremely hard gathering growth this past year. A large percentage of that growth came from visiting properties that hadn't been visited in the past few years, finding construction that was never discovered or permitted. The balance of that growth had come from a new apartment complex, which we were just speaking about, that was completed this year. And the rest came from construction of new residential homes. If our data, meaning the assessor's data, is accurate, it will be fair and equitable for all the residents throughout the town. So we try to fairly assess and tax everyone in town. Not tax, but assess what's been done. The total town value. The overall assessed value of the town has increased by 3.58%. While this isn't as much as it has been in the past, the market still remains strong based on 2024 sales. This is mainly due to lack of inventory in the market. The tax levy. This is one of the pages I had to fix for you guys a couple of times. I apologize for that. This slide represents the tax levy that the town would have to raise in property taxes. This number is derived from the total amount to be raised minus the total estimated receipts. Valuation by class. This slide is a breakdown by class. The reason I'm showing you this is to emphasize that this town is 91.4% residential and 8.6% commercial, industrial, and personal property. A large portion of the commercial property in this town is ma and pa, meaning small commercial properties. We don't have a lot of large commercial. The impact of splitting the rate. This slide represents a breakdown of the average assessed value of each class and the tax amount after splitting the tax rate at these three different levels, providing that there would be very little benefit to the residential properties and a greater expense to the commercial industrial properties. Any questions, just jump in. The savings or cost of impact of splitting the tax rate. This slide is an example of the actual dollar amounts that would be saved in black for the residential class, with a split rate at 1.1, 1.3, and 1.5. Commercial and industrial properties would have to pay additional taxes, that's marked here in red. As you can see, there is very small savings to tax dollars to the residential class, while significantly increasing the burden on commercial and industrial properties. And keeping in mind that this is average assessed values. So if there's a large commercial business here that's assessed a lot higher than that, of course, the impact is going to be even greater to them.
So, Don, if I may again.
Sure.
So on this slide, so in other words, if we had a split rate
Yes.
and with a factor of 1.3%, the average residential savings, that being $273, but based on an average home in
Value.
Nashland?
And the average assessed value for the town on
Which is-
residentials, which is 720,
725 or something like that?
25, yeah, and change.
Okay, so, okay. Okay, that's
Okay.
helpful, thank you.
Okay.
How many, I know you said the percentage, but do we know how many businesses would be impacted by this?
I don't have that number for you tonight,
Okay.
no. I can get that number for you, though.
And these aren't necessarily, there are many businesses in town that rent the space that they're in,
That's true.
so it actually falls to the owner.
That's true.
Although frequently that would mean an increase in rent.
rent.
But nonetheless, it is the owner.
And no break to the
Okay.
tenant, yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
That's one of the exemptions you guys will be considering tonight. Okay, so this is the open space exemption. This is the first one of the three for you guys to consider tonight. The open space discount is a process which allows cities and towns to grant a tax break to those properties that are classified as open space. The issue with this is the tax burden then gets shifted to the rest of the residential properties throughout town. The exemption should not be confused with open space or chapter land program. In this town, there's currently only one chapter land property, surprisingly, but that's what the case is. In addition, when they're in the chapter land, it kind of benefits the town in one way that if they ever want to sell the property once they're in that chapter land program, they would have to give the town right of first refusal at whatever price was negotiated for the sale. So the town would have the option to buy that property.
Could you just go into a little bit of what chapter land is? Because I don't think, I'm
Sure.
not familiar with it.
Another one.
Like, is it something that is just open space, or is it like a process, or
It's
is
a
it?
process.
Okay.
So there's three levels. There's 61, 61A, and 61B. The reason for that is that one of them requires 5 acres aside from your home site. So it can be a single-family home with 6 acres of land, and they would qualify. The other one is acreage. And then you would have to, you also would have to show a $500 sales a year to qualify. So there is some guidelines that you'd have to, some red tape to jump through in order to qualify for it, but it's not that difficult. People with large lots, could consider it. It's considerable break on the back land as long as they're never planning on developing it. The big thing is if they change their mind or if they're not going to stay on the property for a long period of time, it's probably not something that they want to get involved in. They can transfer it when they sell the property, as long as the people that buy the property are willing to stay in the program. There's no fees or anything along those lines. So it's a good benefit.
So it would be a tax benefit for a homeowner with large
Absolutely.
open space or something like
Yep.
that? Okay.
Okay.
So is it then, if I had 6 acres of land and my home was on, what part of that becomes available for this break, the tax break?
So whatever's required by zoning in that area, so if you needed 30,000 square
30,000 feet,
feet,
then that would be
that has to
excluded.
stay with the
Got it.
house. Outside of that, you're over
Okay.
5
I was
acres,
thinking
you're
it might be
good.
30,000, it's a magic number.
Don, I just have a quick question.
Sure.
When it says the open space exemption,
Yep.
and the discount, so if you had property, if you have, you own property and it's considered conservation land, that's open spaces, is that considered open space or no?
No.
So what is considered open space?
Well, this would be for residential properties, let's say, you had excess land over and above the 30,000, you didn't want to be involved in the program, you guys could vote to put this through and give them a additional break on the additional land.
Okay, so if people own property that's considered unbuildable and it's classified as conservation property, are they being taxed on property that they can't use?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, I just want to make sure
Yeah,
that people
no.
understand that.
No.
Okay,
Nope, they are not.
thank you.
Okay, so the next one is the small commercial exemption, which is what you guys were kind of alluding to there a minute ago. So who's eligible for this, and what's the criteria that's required? Sole proprietorship, no more than 10 employees, Total value of the property cannot exceed $1 million. Business must be certified by the Department of Labor and Workforce Department. If the parcel has multiple tenants, all the tenants must be eligible. The intent of this is to give a tax reduction to small commercial property owners at the expense of the larger commercial properties in town. You can adjust this up to 10% of the commercial levy, can be shifted to eligible parcels and the non-eligible parcels. The things to consider with this one is, if, like we said earlier, if the business owner doesn't own the building, he's just a tenant, then that benefit would go to the owner of the building instead of the small commercial business owner that we're trying to give this to. It's difficult to track, and currently there's only 14 towns that are offering this out of the 351 communities.
So we would initially have to adopt it, and then it would only apply to these instances.
That's small criteria, yeah. So it's a tough one.
And they'd have to apply for it or go through, they'd have to meet all these, so it would be a process.
Right.
And is that just a simple vote? Or does that have to go to the legislature for approval?
Not sure on that. I believe it's just a simple vote from the board.
So
to approve
it's
it.
not a home rule petition?
Right,
Okay.
yep.
But it only matters if you have a split tax rate.
No,
Oh,
it could still push on the.
you could use it if you had
yep.
the same tax rate?
Yep, it would still push on the larger commercial properties, yep. But they're picking up the difference, that's the thing. Whatever break you're giving to the small commercial properties, it's gotta come from the larger commercial properties'
Doesn't
values.
get pushed to the residential.
Nope, not at all. Nope, not this one.
That's interesting.
Okay, so the last one is the residential exemption. The residential exemption can shift the tax burden within the residential class from the lower-priced homes to the owners of non-owner occupied second homes. The town of Ashland is mainly owner-occupied community. Therefore, this exemption is not a good candidate for this town. The towns or cities that have adopted this exemption are either urban or vacation areas. Again, currently, there are only 15 towns, communities, I'm sorry, that are doing this at this time out of 351. So the tax rate calculation, everyone knows how it happens. It is important for the residents to know, wait a minute, no, sorry. Yes, this is what I want. It is important for the residents to know that neither the select board nor the assessor's office can raise or lower the tax rate. Spending is determined by the voting public through town meeting. It is the participation of the town residents at town meeting that determine the level of services desired. This in turn directly affects the tax rate. The actual levy divided by the total assessed value multiplied by 1,000 could be the tax rate for 2026, as you see here. The last thing is to remember that this tax rate is still subject to change until the final approval from the Department of Revenue. So the Board of Assessors recommends to the Select Board to vote the following, and that would be to adopt the single tax rate and to not adopt the three exemptions, the three commercial exemptions. And that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions.
So your current suggestion for the tax rate would be
77.
$12.77,
So it's staying the same
staying the same?
right now, unless something else changes before we get approval from the Department of Revenue.
Okay.
Do you know where Ashland falls in terms of tax rate
For this coming,
in comparison to other communities? I know we could look that up.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't have that tonight, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Quick question. So, you know, folks have seen their home values increase over the last, especially the last few years. And so I think that I think it's just, it's important to kind of note how the, you know, assessed value has probably increased because there's a bit of a lag.
Sure.
So obviously, it's, you know, the assessed value, what people are being taxed on now reflects the reflects the value from, you know, a year prior.
2024.
2024.
Because I have to provide a full year of sales and data to Department of Revenue in order to do this.
Yep.
So I'm behind. So if somebody lists their property tomorrow, they should be able to sell it for more than I have it assessed at.
Okay. And then, so, you know, the levy, we can only raise the levy every year 2.5%. That, you know, Prop 2.5. And so just, you know, when people talk about like their taxes and the rate of that, you know, basically as values have gone up, the tax rate has gone down. It's inversely
Correct.
related, correct?
It's like a
So-
seesaw.
Yes.
In other words, spending in town, if we don't spend any money and the tax rate stays the same, and everything will stay the same. But when we ask for things, like I say, at town meeting, the town needs to know that these are things that will drive up your taxes. But
Not as much fun as a seesaw.
So, okay, because I just want people to kind of understand how, like, you know, their tax bill, they can see their tax bill getting higher, but
Higher.
it's based on their assessed
Assessment.
value.
Right.
And not necessarily because, like, the levy is being raised by, like, more than 2.5
Than
every year,
required, right.
so.
Right. And another example of that is residential properties this year, on an average, went up 6% still, based on 2024 sales. Commercial went up about 4%. Now, there'll be people that will say, my house went up X amount, and you said 6. Well, 6 is an average. So some properties, if they had renovations, if, like I said earlier, if I was in the field and I picked something up out at your property that wasn't picked up before and it was incorrect, or there were errors on your card, those things will make your assessment go up and make your tax bill go up as well.
And then, you know, the debt exclusions and things that we have sort of layered on top of that is separate from the assessed value and that rate, but it's,
Well, so the debt exclusions get added
yeah. Oh, okay, gotcha, okay,
Sorry. The debt exclusion gets added onto the levy.
okay.
So like if your levy is, let's just say $60 million, you add on the new growth, okay, and your 2.5%, then you have, okay, what your tax levy is, and then what you can tax is you add the debt exclusion amount on top of that.
Gotcha, okay, all right, thank you.
How are you? No, it's quite all right. Any additional questions or comments?
No, thank you very much, appreciate this.
Thank you.
Yeah, we should explain a little bit about just the process moving forward, because we won't be asking for, are you looking for a vote tonight on single rate?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And so what happens is, we can't really set the tax rate until after town meeting. So you have to make sure any opportunities for expenditures that would affect the tax rate are taken, et cetera. So we have to wait until after town meeting. Then we'll come back, close the hearing afterwards, and then we'll have to do the LA5, however they're doing it now.
Right.
We should actually, sorry, just when you said that, we didn't open the hearing,
You're right, you didn't.
so.
Yeah, so if you start
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about, we should probably
Yeah,
open it now.
we should,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I ask that we open the meeting, the hearing with respect to our tax evaluation and classification hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. I should have done that, but my bad. I didn't want to be interruptive. You were on a roll.
Should we take a vote
Yes.
to open the?
Yep. Voice vote. Name
Bennett,
vote.
yes.
Thank you.
Reeves, aye.
Kinsman, aye.
Keegan, aye.
And yeah, that's 5-0. Thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to take an opportunity to thank Don and Cindy and like our new finance team is really coming together. And Don, I always give him a hard time because he's been here a year and he's like, the most senior person in his role. But all kidding aside, Don's done a really remarkable job in terms of, as he mentioned, going to visit a lot of properties that, we needed to catch up on a few things. Don has put in a lot of work to do that. You can see that also in the change in our new growth. I mean, he captured 250,000 in new growth this year that wasn't, we weren't planning on. He's in the process of changing over our system, our computerized system, to make things a little bit more efficient. So he and Cindy aren't here on Christmas Eve, trying to get things
I
done.
hope not.
So he's really just done a great job of the assessor's office since he's taken on. And it's like it's a different presentation in many years, so.
Actually, it's the first time I could actually understand it, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
All right.
Michael said you found additional new development. Was that because people weren't filing for permits and were doing work on their own, or?
Could be partial.
Okay.
Property, previous people might not have been able to have the time to get in the field and do the field work.
Okay,
Department of Revenue requires you to see a tenth of your town every year to
Okay.
try to keep up with your inspections. It's tough. It's a tough day, you know. There's a lot to do in the office alone, but
yep,
you're only one man, but we do what we can.
appreciate that.
No, you're welcome.
Any additional questions or comments, or we good? Okay, so,
I could make a motion to adopt a single tax rate for FY '26. Is
you
that,
want to provide a number, or do you want to discuss
No,
it
just-
before? Yeah,
no, just,
We don't
just,
do the
just,
number.
we're just
Single or
voting on
single.
the single
okay.
tax rate. Should we include the other things in the same motion, or do we need to have them separate?
Can.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to adopt a single tax rate for FY '26, to not adopt the open space exemption, to not adopt the residential exemption, and not to adopt the small commercial exemption.
There's a second, there's a second? All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye, that's 5-0. So, we're ready to roll.
Perfect.
Thanks,
So
Don.
thank you.
Thank you.
Don,
Thank you
for all
very
your
much.
work.
Thanks for all the-
Appreciate it, and Cindy,
All
thank
the
you as
answers to all
well.
the questions.
Thank you.
We need
Okay,
to close the hearing, or do we keep it open until we do?
we
the
have to keep it
separate-
open
Okay.
until the meeting, the town meeting. Yep. Okay, next on our agenda at 7:40, and we're a little past that, but we're working on it. MWRA sewer bond with infiltration and inflow local financial assistance. Program totaling $1,383,000. And I'll hand that over to Cindy.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I'm requesting a vote from the Select Board on the MWRA sewer bond dated November 17th, 2025. This bond is essential for our participation in the MWRA Inflow and Infiltration Loan Program, which provides financial assistance for I&I reduction projects. This program is a vital resource for ensuring the long-term integrity of our sewer system by enabling investment of our infrastructure and proactive management of I&I issues. These funds will support activities such as sewer main and manhole rehabilitation, including methods like cured-in pipe, place pipe lining. The total funding of $1,383,000 covers phases 12, 14, and 16. And the breakdown of intent also includes an article from May 3rd of 2023, which is the Phase 12 funding. So you take that funding, the $339,640. In addition, we have the Article 14 of May 7th of 25, which covers Phase 14 and 16 of $530,000 and $513,360. And we get a 75% grant and 25% loan, non-interest-bearing loan for 10 years. You can't beat that. So I have that breakdown, and let's see, what else did I want to mention? Oh, yes, so do you have the vote of the select board if you, the clerk is going to read that?
Yep. I just had it.
I have an extra if you need it.
Just a quick question. So,
Sure.
with the breakdown from a grant versus loan, is the grant like a state grant or what?
Yes.
Okay.
Massachusetts Water Resource Authority. It's a whole
Okay.
program throughout the state. Many communities take advantage of it. Like I said, 75% grant, don't have to pay that back. 25% loan over 10 years, non-interest bearing. So it's $32,575 a year for 10 years.
Okay, great.
And the DPW department has really looked into this program and is only taking advantage of the highest grant percentage of the phases. So
Okay,
they're making certain to, maximize the grant percentage
okay.
to complete these projects, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Michael, this might be more of a question for you, but the I&I program, can you just give like a real high level, like what it does and why we do this?
Stops leaks. It stops leaks in our sewer system, which is good for us because, and so the reason there are leaks is because the way sewer pipes are joined, or they're just butted up against each other. And so groundwater actually gets in there, and what happens is then we end up paying for treating and transporting that groundwater. So by sealing those up, we're going, basically we end up saving ratepayers money because we're eliminating like additional, groundwater that's essentially getting in there that's getting treated as sewage.
Okay. Claudia, are you ready to read the, Yep. I don't want to take away your job as clerk.
Just to be clear, is this the motion? Or it says, I further
Oh, yeah.
certify that the
It's not a
votes
motion.
were taken?
Oh, okay. We don't have it on our, no.
Thank you.
No, we do not. Because that's what I was just looking for.
So just read this whole thing here?
Yep.
Okay. I, the clerk of the Select Board of the Town of Ashland, Massachusetts, certify that at a meeting of the board held November 5th, 2025, of which meeting all members of the board were duly notified and at which a quorum was present, the following votes were unanimously passed, all of which appear upon the official record of the board in my custody. Voted that the sale of $345,750 sewer bond of the town dated November 17th, 2025, to the Massachusetts Water Resources Authority is hereby approved, and the town treasurer or other appropriate town official is authorized to execute on behalf of the town a loan agreement and a financial assistance agreement with the authority with respect to the bond. The bond shall be payable without interest on November 15th of the years and in the principal amounts as follows. Year 2026, installment $34,575. 2027, $34,575. 2028, $34,575, 2029, $34,575, 2030, $34,575, 2031, $34,575, 2032, $34,575, 2033, $34,575, 2034, $34,575, 2035, $34,575. Further voted that any certificates or documents relating to bond, collectively the documents, may be executed in several counterparts, each of which shall be regarded as an original, and all of which shall constitute one and the same document delivery of an executed counterpart of a signature page to a document by electronic mail in a PDF file or by other electronic transmission shall be as effective as delivery of a manually executed counterpart signature to such document. Not a lot of punctuation in this. And electronic signatures on any of the documents shall be deemed original signatures for the purposes of the documents and all matters relating thereto, having the same legal effect as original signatures. Further voted that all action taken to date by the town and its officers and agents to carry out this financing, including the execution of any application agreement by the treasurer or any other official of the town, are hereby ratified, approved, and confirmed. And further voted that each member of the select board, the town clerk, and the town treasurer be and hereby are authorized to take any and all such actions and execute and deliver such certificates, receipts, or other documents as may be determined by them, or any of them, to be necessary or convenient to carry into effect the provisions of the foregoing votes. I further certify that the votes were taken at a meeting open to the public, that no vote was taken by secret ballot, that a notice stating the place, date, time, and agenda for the meeting, which agenda included the adoption of the above votes, was filed with the town clerk, and a copy thereof posted in a manner conspicuously visible to the public at all hours in or on the municipal building that the office of the town clerk is located, or, if applicable, in accordance with an alternative method of notice prescribed or approved by the Attorney General as set forth in 940 CMR 29.03 2B, at least 48 hours, not including Saturdays, Sundays, and legal holidays, prior to the time of the meeting, and remained so posted at the time of the meeting, that no deliberations or decision in connection with the sale of the bond were taken in executive session, all in accordance with GLC 30A 18, sections 18 to 25, as amended, dated November 5th, 2025.
Nicely done.
Usually, when I read, it's more fun than that, sorry.
Okay. We're good?
We have a motion and a second?
Yep.
Yep. All those in favor? Aye. That vote goes 5-0. So, do you want to, we could probably sign at the end of the meeting?
You have to sign.
Should we be good?
Sign it now?
No, you
No.
can sign that at the end.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Cindy, for all your work, appreciate it. Nicely done. Nicely done. Okay, next up scheduled item is 7:50 PM. Rajit, Public Health Director, discussing the NFG, which is nicotine-free generation, a proposal being discussed by the Board of Health that was discussed at their last Board of Health meeting. And I hope all of you had an opportunity to see the video that was provided by WACA on that. Very informative video, and Dr. Rich did a great job. So Rajit, I will hand it over to you. Good evening, sir. How are you?
So very good evening. First, apologies, I was not able to attend in person. I'm out for a conference in Springfield. So I'm happy to answer any questions the board have, or I can brief you either way, so.
Now, how will this take effect if
Actually, can we,
explain it?
yeah,
Yeah.
can we,
Yeah. Let's
Explain
go
it for
through it
folks
so
who
that,
are,
yeah.
Can you
watching
give us a
here knows
brief
what we're
explanation?
referring to? Because I don't think most people got a chance to watch the video.
This is true.
But
they
if
didn't watch
they
it.
did want to watch the video, would they find it under the Board of Health website, maybe, a link to it?
Yeah, we can,
Well, I know.
there is a VACA link, right? But we can put it on our website also
Yeah,
if it's
yeah.
need.
Okay.
We can do that, you know, so.
Very informative, I thought, anyway.
So Raj, could you give maybe like a 3-minute summary of what the proposal is?
Yes, sir, Mr. Manager. So this came to us, right? This was in June when Dr. Zachary and one of another resident of Ashland, Mr. Francis, Scott Francis, reached out to us. You know that's what they want to bring it to in front of the board. You know, for the board to discuss what we call it as nicotine-free generation. What started in Massachusetts around 2020 as tobacco-free generation and later turned to nicotine-free generation. This was first adopted by the city of Brookline in 2020. And so far there are 19 communities that have adopted it. So what it actually do, so for like, so say Ashland adopts it, right? So anybody from the day, supposedly we adopt it, just hypothetically, Jan 1st, 2026, anybody who's under 21 years of age that on that day won't be able to buy tobacco in Ashland for their life. So that's what the policy is. So for 19 communities have adopted in Massachusetts. Dover did this this Monday, this week. And it was, I guess, town of South Hadley that did it a couple of weeks back. So that's what we have. Brookline did get sued, because of the adoption in 2020 after they adopted, but it was upheld by a court in 2024. Other than that, I did attend a session on this today also. There was a professor from Harvard who actually did a session on this nicotine-free generation, today in the conference. A lot of stuff going on in public health world regarding that. Eventually, the state is going to adopt it. That's the noise, right? So 19 communities have adopted so far. If more communities adopt, I guess the state is going to adopt it anyways, so.
Raj, is there any numerical information that would help support backing this initiative?
Just to clarify, sir, in what sense,
Well, it's to show the success of the program in the 19 communities that have already adopted it. Have they seen a decrease
In smokers.
in smokers? Right.
Tobacco.
Right.
So that data, I don't have it, right? I can look at it, what I know from today, right? That there are 600,000 people in these 19 communities, that have adopted this policy so far in the state, but that hard data, right? What are the impacts, or that we need to look at, and I can look at it and provide it to the board,
I think that would be helpful, because one of the questions I've had about this initiative is, what are the material impacts of moving, like we currently have 18, folks who are 18 and over can use tobacco, shifting that to age 21. Folks who are watching here may not understand, or, I'd like to get clarity too on why is that part of this initiative? Why is it seen that there are, again, material impacts and shifting that age up? Does that mean that people who are younger than 18 are less likely to use these tobacco products? I think an explanation might be helpful for folks who are watching at home as to why this particular policy action has been recommended.
Just want to clarify, the age for, sale of tobacco right now in the state is 21. So it's not, this is something different, right? This is, so I guess the age is 21 currently.
Oh, that's
the
right.
whole of state.
That's true. That's true. And so it's people.
I just want to
before
clarify
30.
that, please.
But yeah, I think that going pursuant to Joe's question though, I think understanding what the actual impacts are from towns and communities that 18 or 19 towns and communities who have adopted this, and like what, what do the data say about tobacco use overall? And, has it dropped for young people? Has it stayed the same? I think that would be helpful for folks to understand.
Absolutely, I will look for the data, I'm not aware of this, though this is very recent, right? I mean, what they are trying to do is just, to have the younger age group not smoke, or don't give them access, so I guess that's all about the policy that they're trying to bring in on,
Just to clarify, because I'm not sure it is clear at this point, but what this does is it says that, and you did say it, but it's whenever the adoption date is, so we'll say today or whatever, then if you're not 21 as of today, you will never be able to buy cigarettes or tobacco products in Ashland.
That is correct, yes.
So as of now, you could age into being able to purchase when you turn
That is correct.
21. But what this does is make it so that if you weren't 21 by November 5th, 2025, then you would never be able to buy tobacco products in Ashland.
In Ashland, but not,
Not-
but you
Not-
could
not
go
this-
next door to Framingham.
Yeah, no,
And
of
if they
course.
don't
Right, of
enact
course.
it, you
Right.
could do it there.
So it's prohibition, basically. It's tobacco prohibition for people who are born after
Yeah.
a certain date.
Yeah.
And then it's on the retailers. It's their responsibility to make sure they're not selling to those
No,
people.
it'll be us regulating it, so it'll be,
Right,
put
but
it in the
It's
regulation.
the retailer, right? They'd have to look and say, okay, if you're not 21 by this date, then I can't sell it to you, right?
That is correct.
And
Yes.
then the one question I was like, what's the process to get this enacted? I hear, the Board of Health is talking about it. Do they vote it? Is it a town meeting vote? Is it something we as the select board do? Does it go to the ballot? What would that look like?
So I've spoken to the legal counsel on this, right? So there are both sides, if the Board of Health have to adopt it, it will be just a regulation, right? The Board of Health vote can either adopt it or deny it, but it can be a bylaw, then you have to go through the process of the town vote.
Okay, yeah, and maybe to help frame this discussion a little bit, just to make sure it's successful. So right now, what's before the Board of Health is to decide whether to enact a regulation that adopts these policies. Is that correct, Raj?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. And so I think what this board, if I understand correctly, is talking about doing is having a conversation about it and then making a recommendation to the Board of Health as to what they should do.
So it's actually the Board of Health's decision
To do a regulation or
to
not.
create,
That is correct.
to make the regulation. Okay.
And so, from what I've gathered from the conversation, and correct me if I'm wrong, that recommendation that you made could be to adopt it as a regulation, not adopt it as a regulation, or request that they don't adopt it as a regulation with the understanding that you would put it on the warrant as a bylaw change.
Okay.
At our next meeting.
Well,
That would be
a
town meeting.
future, yeah.
At
future
the next town meeting, so the spring town meeting.
So spring.
Springtown meeting.
Spring.
So I had a quick question. So, you were talking a little bit about the state level. Do you know where it is in the process of, working its way through the state? Because, I'm kind of concerned about doing it town by town. And, it's something I would think would be better if it was, regulated by this, if it was mandated from the state and it was applied to all towns and communities. I think that would be sort of the preferred way to go, because otherwise I feel like it's,
It's like the NIP process,
yeah,
right?
it's
Yes,
hard.
and
It's
here
really
in town.
hard.
Yeah.
Because,
they don't in Framingham.
I saw that Hopkinton recently adopted this. but I'm curious if there were other communities that, around us, that have adopted this as well, and also just where we are on the state process, because I'm, you know, I'm kind of concerned about just doing it in Ashland.
Sure. So if it was to, the question was to me, so one thing I am not sure that if any formal process have started at the state, but our DPS commissioner was here at the conference this morning, and this conversation came, right? With other tobacco policies also, I'm aware when the Tobacco 21 was adopted, right? I guess there was 188 communities at that time had adopted it, and then the state did it as a statewide policy, you know. So the same thing happened with the flavored ban. I guess the communities did it first, and then the state did it. So I guess that's how they do it, you know. But I'm very sure about the Tobacco 21, you know, when we adopted that it was 188 communities that did it in first, you know. So
So
I
there's
guess
no-
I answered your question, you know. So.
I'm sorry, just to clarify, so there's nothing working its way through the legislature currently right now about this to be implemented in Massachusetts cities and towns overall, correct?
I don't know if there is any legislative process started, but there are different agencies, right, that working on this, you know. Like our Massachusetts Association of Health Boards, right, the MHOA, or all these associations are working towards it, right? I mean, the process is probably, you know, going community wise, you know. I'm aware other communities are working on it. Like they're
sounds
going through the
like,
same.
based on what you said, that from the legislature's perspective, they're not gonna start doing something unless they have mass community support, right? You're saying it was 188 communities and then the legislation took it up. So
That was
it's one of
for,
those things, like, do
Tobacco
we wanna
21.
be in the forefront of that? Or as one of the starting communities, or do we just wait for the state? And again, for me, sometimes it's, you know, that balance of if we can do it here in Ashland, but if it's not being done in the communities around us, all that's gonna mean is that in 10 years, some of our retailers will not be selling as much, and it could impact their bottom line. Whereas if we wait until the state does it, then it's for everybody, and at some point, everyone will just stop selling tobacco, at least here in Massachusetts, because no one will be old enough, and they'll all, you know, so. I'm not jumping up and down to do this right now, but
You know,
I don't know how other people feel.
I just want to say, you know, I feel very strongly about the damage that tobacco does to people. And I think probably most of us have experienced it in our lives, have seen people that we love suffer greatly, die in many cases, all related to tobacco use. It's unfortunate that even on the federal level that tobacco companies have such sway that there's tobacco is still so available in our society. You know, but it is hard to create something on such a local level that would have such a negative impact too on some of our business owners in that. You know, I struggle with it because I am someone, as an educator, believe that education is the best tool for most things, and I know it doesn't always work. But I think education is critical in all of these things. And it just feels, you know, I think the community would be shocked if all of a sudden we were to do this tonight, to vote for this, and then, you know, really without any input from the community at this point. You know, I don't know that we've tried to, other than posting it in our agenda, I'm not sure that we've reached out to folks and to try to get how they feel about it.
Yeah. And I would agree with that. I would say that, like, if this is something that, that, you know, the Board of Health wants to continue to to pursue that it goes to town meeting. I think that would be probably the best venue, because then there would be a public hearing, there would be thorough discussion.
I would have to agree with that as well. I
So-
concur.
So I would recommend that the Board of Health have a few more public forums before we take it to town meeting, right?
absolutely.
So that it's not just I mean, I wouldn't want it to go to town meeting without hearing or feeling that the majority of people think it's something that we should support.
Right,
I think that makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the idea is a nice idea, is a good idea. But at the same token, I wasn't going to act on this tonight. This is the first time it was brought up to us, to have a discussion that we're having, but I don't think we should make a decision tonight. There's too many other variables that need to be answered before we go. Again, the numerical factor for me is to me
We
is
need some
important.
more data to
Yeah, we
see
need more
what's
data.
actually happening in those
Yeah.
communities that have enacted it.
And I do think like there needs to be a discussion on the state level, I think, for this to be something that I would feel comfortable with. Other than that, like I love the idea of, people stop smoking and vaping and using tobacco products and nicotine products. I think like from a health perspective, that's where we all want to go. I do feel like, it does feel a little to me like, and I'm just gonna say this, the morality police, like we are like,
Yeah.
it could, because, tobacco is legal in Massachusetts at the age of 21, and our retailers have to card and police that, which totally, that's what their responsibility is. I feel like it's kind of a slippery slope, like how do you say, okay, well then, alcohol is available for people that are 21, like how, like.
This is exactly what I'm thinking.
Cannabis is
Like,
available
cannabis
for
is
people that are
available.
21.
Like,
I mean, there's-
I do feel I feel more comfortable with having that community discussion.
Absolutely.
And I think we're all aligned, or most of us are aligned in the fact that it is a big public health issue and
Yep.
that education is key. But if we want to take any further steps than that, I think a public discussion is necessary
Yes.
to understand what
Yes.
that means.
Because the impact is
And
big.
that it's not just tobacco, but that it's also vaping,
Right.
right?
Yep.
Because vaping is one of the larger issues, and that's where we're seeing a lot of young people. They are vaping, they're not smoking anymore, they're vaping.
Well, they're using Zyn pouches. That's what they're using. It's kind of like glorified chewing tobacco. It just sits in
Yeah.
that. But that's the Zyn is where it's where it is. Well, every decade there's a new iteration of tobacco products. And they et cetera. But that aside, I think a public discussion on this is necessary before any other action.
Well,
But thank you for bringing
Yep.
it to us and
I
making us aware.
appreciate that, and I appreciate the video that was provided to us. I mean, that's the type of information that I'm looking for, additional information on that as well. So, Dr. Rich did a nice
thank you
presentation.
too.
Yeah.
I think it's so important and, it's very important, but it does feel like we need to have, a good community discussion about it. And the thing with that is a discussion, right, would help to educate people. So even if it didn't win, or however you want to frame it, after a community-wide discussion, it would have an impact because people would have been, maybe learned something or been more thoughtful about it. So, so discussion's important for the education in and of itself.
This could be a side note discussion that we could have with our legislative representatives at a legislative meeting coming up next week. So,
And I would also be interested, like, we're talking about youth. I know that every year or every other year, the high school does, participates in I think it's the Metro West Health Survey. And
Yep.
has some
Decisions at every
data
turn.
with and so it would be interesting to see the trending and the data behind that, as far as like what percentage of youth in Ashland are smoking or vaping or using, using nicotine products, whatever those things are. I don't even know what that Zyn thing is.
I'll show you later.
Patches and, yeah.
But it would be good to have that information too, because I think that would help. That would be good background for us too.
Absolutely. So thank you, Rashid. I appreciate that, and I appreciate the efforts from the Board of Health bringing this discussion up. And I think maybe you folks could continue that discussion and maybe set up some public forums to bring that to light to the public.
Yes, sir.
Happy to,
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Raj.
Thank you. Thank you, Raj.
Thank you.
Okay. Next on our agenda is old new business, and I will turn it over to Claudia and to discuss the voting on the BAA and Select Board Community Fall. So Brandy and Claudia, I'll turn this over to you two.
All right, thanks, Joe. So, yes, Brandy and I met maybe 2 weeks ago this Thursday, to talk about, as probably many of you know, twice a year we have grants available. We have two different groups. There are those who are 501c3 nonprofit organizations who can apply for a grant. That money is raised from our BAA runners, so every year we have 25 bibs now. Each runner raises $3,000, so that brings us to, we have $75,000 a year, basically, to award to our 501c3s. So, some samples of our 501c3s are many of our school and town actually, athletes, their organizations, the Firefighters Association, library, the Linclusion, which is neurodiversity support for children, the Farmers Market, Music Association, Emergency Fund, Council on Aging, the Bark Park. So there are many organizations that come to us. In a round of two, we'll say a cycle of two awards, they can apply for and receive up to $6,000. No more than $4,000 at any single one, but for a total of $6,000 for two consecutive award periods. And so this year, this fall, we had 21 requests for under the 501c3 program, and we were able to award all of them. Now, one of the rules of our policy is that we have to maintain 50% balance. So whatever we start at, we have to maintain 50%. In this instance, this year, we started at about $70,000, so we needed to keep the balance at $35,000 after the awards were made. So to do so, what we did was we applied a little math to it, and we awarded all the organizations at a 60% request. So if they requested $1,000, then we awarded them $600. So basically, we awarded $34,349.97. Our balance after that is $35,975.87. So anyway, we're going forward. I think we're going to probably have another conversation. I think Yolanda has brought it up, and that maybe we need to think about how much we have the runners raise. It's very popular among our runners. It's very competitive. Applicants, we're always into a lottery situation, because people, most of these other organizations, charitable organizations that they run for, they're raising $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 and more. So being able to run for $3,000 is certainly a privilege. and we are happy about that. We're happy that we can have our, because it ends up going to people that live in our community. And they're able to run in the marathon that goes through our town that originated here. And so we certainly appreciate that. But it's probably time for discussion about that.
Considering, looking at what was requested and what you were able to fund, you weren't able to give anybody the full amount that they wanted.
No, we did a
Because we had-
blanket 60%.
We did the
Right,
prorated
you did-
everyone.
You
Yeah,
did,
we-
you prorated everyone
Yep.
because of our having to keep the balance at half of it,
Right.
right? So
Yep.
if we raised it to even $4,000, that's another $15,000 in funds that we would receive that we could then.
Another 25,000.
Right,
there's 25
because
runners.
25,
Yeah,
because there's
yeah.
25 numbers.
Yeah.
That's, because obviously the need and the ask is getting more and more.
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking at this list of people who have requested, and I think this is one of the longest lists I've seen in a while.
Yeah. And there
And
was, there was.
And because we've raised the amount that people can ask for in a total year to
Yes,
$6,000,
right,
not only are more people requesting it, but they're requesting more funds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the
So-
total amount requested this time around was over $57,000.
Right.
And so, we will have, for our spring round, we'll have more funds because we'll be at the tail end of the
Yeah, you have the
Right.
balance, right?
fundraising.
Yep.
For this year, so that'll make a difference.
So-
And we had raised that amount, basically because we had a lot of money left
Sitting
over.
there, right.
And so, the
Sort of a
policy.
Catch-22 kind of
Yeah, and
thing.
because before we maxed out at 2,500,
But twice, right, so they could have gotten $5,000 in a year.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the amount requested was $64,000, so,
Right.
64?
yeah, that's what,
Oh, okay, yep.
So what I would say then is next year in the spring, after we finish this round,
Yeah.
we have a discussion so that when we go to do the numbers, we're not having the discussion
Right.
as the lottery is happening or as we're deciding what to
Yeah.
do with our numbers.
Right. I mean, this is the first grant round where we've had to even make any adjustments. Our policy generally is if it's a valid request and they supply all the necessary paperwork and how they're using the funds and then receipts from previous previous use, then, we fully fund. And this is the first time we're not gonna be able to fully fund everybody, so. And the prorating is good too, because then it's equitable, which
Yeah,
I
right.
think is sort of a.
Right, except that if there's an organization that was like, okay, I applied in the spring, I received the $4,000 I applied for, and they were looking for the $2,000, now they're only getting 60% of that. So getting something is better than nothing, but depending on if they've planned their budgets and things like that, so. But, okay,
okay. And then the other grant that we give is the Select Board Community Grant. And this is a grant that goes to, organizations in the town that do not have 501c3 status. And what that is basically it's just a tax status. So sometimes you can have a nonprofit organization, but it doesn't have 501c3 status, and some of these might even fall into that category, but because they don't have 501c3 status, we do have a separate award for them. They can apply for a total of $1,500 over 2 periods. We, in fact, had 8 requests. We made 7 awards to the tune of $50,000. That can't be right. Go back to the other sheet. Maybe I didn't copy it right.
750,000, wow.
Yeah,
thought it
no,
was like
it's 7,000.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay.
Okay.
The amount requested
Yeah.
was $7,000.
It's $7,000, and what we had was for a total of $50,000 in that account. That account is funded by rentals, building rentals, Field rentals, just rentals
No,
in town, not
no,
field?
no, no,
Warren
no,
Conference
no.
Center.
I think
I hope
the
not
Warren-
field
I
rentals.
think
Just the
it's-
Warren Center?
It's just fees in lieu of taxes at the Warren Center.
Just the
right?
Warren Center, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So basically, when people go and stay at the Warren Conference Center, we get a percentage of,
Right.
like,
From the
their,
inn.
from the inn, and things like that. So it's dependent on how, it varies from year to year.
Right.
depending on how.
So, yeah, so the total award for that, we were able to fully fund those because we did have the $50,000 in the account. So we awarded $7,078.69. And the one organization that we did not fund was the Ashland Day Event Committee that is, now Joe and a group have gone ahead and filed for 501c3 status, so they'll have that by springtime, hopefully. And
Guess
the
what?
other thing is that the select board, if you remember, when we decided to have an Ashland Day 2025, the select board did award that group $1,000.
$1,500. I thought it was
$1,500, yeah,
$1,500.
$1,500, let me
Yeah.
correct myself. $1,500, so in any case, we had a conversation with Joe,
Yeah,
and he was
we're good
comfortable
with it. Absolutely.
with our not awarding at this time.
And if the board decides differently, then we can.
Yeah,
obviously-
absolutely.
yeah.
Well, I think Ashland, I mean, I know Ashland Day does more than just Ashland Day.
Yeah.
But I think the organization would be better off, and we would be better off if we wait until they have their 501c status back.
Which I'm very happy to say
Is
that I
done.
got a letter yesterday afternoon in the mail from the IRS saying that we are a certified 501(c). Now, that usually
Congratulations.
takes 6 to 7 months. We got that in 3 weeks.
Wow,
Must have done it before
geez, too bad we didn't do
Before,
it.
before,
shutdown.
before the shutdown, and that's exactly what happened.
That's
We did it-
awesome.
We did it
Or
October.
too bad we didn't do it before
I know,
Ashland
before
Day.
Yeah,
Ashland
well,
Day. You should
I
have done it.
didn't realize it
and
was
then-
gonna, it wasn't gonna take that long,
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
So, I guess,
I move
that's
that
the
we
report I have.
thank Claudia and
Yep.
Brandy for their work and also approve the funding that they have recommended from both the
Selectmen's account.
two
and-
different accounts.
second,
Second on that? Okay. All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
That's 5-0. And again, thank you very much for all the work that you ladies have done throughout the year, and, which is
And I
great.
like the new sheet. It looks, it's very easy to understand, so thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you to all the runners who
Yes.
Yep, raise
fund
the
all
funds and-
these, because it's,
And good luck to the new runners who are starting to
Yeah.
raise their funds.
So
Yeah.
at some point, after this discussion is over with, I would assume that at some point, we will open up another discussion with respect to what we want to charge bibs.
I think we should do it in the spring. I
In the
think we
spring?
should let this
Let
cycle
cycle go
finish,
through?
right? Because we're not gonna change it now. People
Okay.
are just starting to
Yeah.
fundraise. But I think in the spring, after the marathon, before we get our new round of numbers, I think we have to decide because we're getting more people requesting funds, because we've increased I mean, this is why I wanted to do it before we did this round,
Yeah.
but people didn't want to support that. I think we need to look at, I mean, yes, it's great that it's Ashland people and sometimes it's, but it's a true
Fundraiser.
well, one, it's a fundraiser, but it's a real perk to only have to raise $3,000. And like I said in our last discussion that we had a month or two ago, I mean, Hopkinton Center for the Arts gets 10 numbers. They have people from around the country applying for those numbers, and they ask for $10,000, and they have people raise $11,000 and $12,000 and $13,000. Now, they only have 10 numbers, so they need a little bit more money to be raised, but I just think that we can raise it at least $1,000 as of next
no,
year.
one thing that's different though, when you say Hopkinton and people from around the country.
Yeah,
So if they're, raising the money and they're from around the country, then they have a bigger pool of people
I
from
agree.
whom they're raising, whereas
I agree.
when we give our bibs to Ashland residents. They're, in some ways, you know, they're all multiple ones tapping the same people.
people,
Right?
right.
So it's a little smaller.
I agree, but if we want to be able
little
to give out more
There's a
funds,
smaller
we need
market.
to
get
raise
it.
more
I
funds.
totally
and-
get it. I'm
I
just
feel like
saying.
this is gonna be a great discussion in the spring.
It will be.
Yes.
It will be.
I
And
don't
also-
disagree with you,
And
Makita.
also, we'll be able to see sort of what the asks are in the spring, because what we also saw this time around was that I think a lot of people in the spring were only eligible for a smaller amount. And then this time around, they might have been eligible for $4,000, and they maxed all that, you know, the ask, their ask, so
So
which is totally fine.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
So if someone applied for $4,000 but didn't get the full $4,000, how do we, in the spring, are we taking that into account and saying, okay, because even though they applied for 4,000, they didn't get the 4,000, are we gonna let them get $3,000 if they didn't get the full 4,000?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
you know, we say it's $6,000 in a full,
In a,
in
in a
back-to-back
calendar, in a,
cycles.
yeah, in
back
two
to back.
cycles.
Yeah, so it's like if, it's what they're, and then they're eligible for whatever is the, you know,
Right, so all these people who applied for 4,000 and didn't get it, if they should apply again in the spring, they're gonna be able to apply for
more than $2,000.
more than $2,000.
Yes.
So we're gonna have to make that clear to them, that they can apply up to 6,000 if they didn't get their full 4,000. They're not just applying for 2,000, they might be applying for 3,000 or 3,500.
Well, they can apply, I'm not sure I followed that, but, because they can apply for up to 4,000. Right?
Well, they can apply up to 4,000 once,
Right,
right?
yeah.
So,
But the total cycle
But
for
for
the
the
two,
total-
They can't go over 6.
it can't
So-
go over 6, right?
So if they only, doesn't matter what, if they applied for 4 and got 3 this time,
so here's one, they applied for $4,000. Oh, no, they were only, hold on, I wanna find one.
if they.
I don't know, we can continue this
Yeah.
Yeah, let's-
discussion,
let's
but,
save it for
I
later.
just wanted to bring that up real quick. But so there will be, like Makita said, there'll be some brisk discussions in the spring, for sure. For sure. Okay, moving along. Our next item under old new business is discuss SNAP benefits, the food pantry, and potential needs in the community. I know we briefly hit upon that one when Mark was in front of the podium and talking about it, and I know that he's a recipient, and, you know, there are many more behind him that, you know, that are feeling this crunch as well. So, Catherine, I'll turn it over to you, dear.
Thank you. Yeah, so we touched on it briefly. So I think everybody is most likely aware that SNAP benefits were not funded effective November 1st. I think as of this morning, from what I read, the plan is to partially fund. So I think it equates to about 50% of the monthly benefit that people would otherwise receive. And I think that's where it stands as of this morning. I haven't looked recently. And we did touch on how to help. So if people are interested in helping, we've put a bunch of information out there on social media. It's on the food pantry's website as well. And so you can donate monetarily through the Ashland Emergency Fund to the food pantry. And there's different ways that they can do that, and that's listed on our website. We also have a list of our most updated needs for goods. And so all donations are welcome, whether it's goods, monetary donations, gift cards. We were working with the public health director on extra space, and so if needed, we will make that work. And then if there are residents of the community that are in need of utilizing the food pantry, that is also on the food pantry's website as well.
So that sounds great. Thank you for the update. One thing, I've been having conversations with a bunch of folks here in town and some of my fellow members. One concern I think is, especially nowadays, there are a lot more families who are put in this position, unfortunately, than have been before. And they may not know how to get the information they need to be able to take advantage of these benefits. Is there a plan in place to try to get the word out and coordinate these efforts and coordinate this communication so that folks who need these things know that this help is available here in town?
So we are getting the word out via social media, and we can definitely add more to the town manager's newsletter as well that will go out on Friday.
Can we put it through this, can we ask the schools to send it out as well?
So we've been in communication with the school, and I know that they've put out information as well.
They're gonna be hitting the families potentially that are in need with their flyers and their emails. So if we can ask them to add it to their communication and maybe even put it on the school website as something, because some people may, instead of going to the town website, they're gonna go to the school website to look for information. Hit them where they're looking for their information potentially.
Yeah.
Has there been
Work
any?
with Mr. Adams.
Yeah, has there also been any thought to reach out to even like some of the athletic leagues around town where students are participating to make sure that, you know, coaches who may know families that are struggling might, you know, not school-based necessarily, but who know that this resource is available, because a lot of those families may not, up to this point, have needed to avail themselves of this kind of stuff.
Yeah, so we can have our Director of Prevention and Human Services connect. We do have a connection there at the schools that we've been working with, so we can certainly do that and put out more information.
Yeah, and not at the schools though, I was talking about.
The
like
youth sports
youth
teams.
sports
Yeah, and
teams.
so what the person that we've been talking to is putting it out to all staff at the schools, the work that we've been doing so far, to let them know what's needed and sort of how people can help, and so we can do the same thing. So I do think that's reaching all school staff included. Are you talking
I'm not
outside
talking-
of
yeah,
schools?
I'm talking about outside school,
Youth
like
sports.
youth sports.
Gotcha. I apologize, I misunderstood.
Most of the youth sports, you know, obviously, if you're a parent involved, if the youth sports, your kid's probably going to be in the schools. So you're probably going to get that information through, you know, the superintendents.
I don't think
Maybe,
we
but
can make that
sometimes-
assumption. I think we need to
Right.
say, look at all organizations within town that are supporting youth and families.
That's right.
And make sure they are aware of this information, because
Well-
we have homeschool groups
I was about to
probably
say, there are a lot of
that might
homeschool
be doing
kids.
youth sports, but they're not doing it through the schools. So
Exactly.
Sometimes too, coaches know what kids needed help to even be able to play the sport. Right?
Exactly.
So that might be, but one thing I was thinking, we have so many youth sports organizations that we're awarding. Maybe with the award letters, we could include some information about if they have
Good
families,
idea. That's a
right?
good idea.
And that, these are some resources for
Yep.
them.
Yeah, that is great. And I think another thing that we could do is, I rarely advocate for the use of those mobile electronic signs,
Oh, yeah.
except when they're
Yeah.
really needed, but they are pretty effective. So if we could craft some kind of message that at least, you know, says if you need help, you know, here's the number to call or something to that
Yeah.
effect.
On the flip side of that, seniors. So, you know, again, there may be some seniors at this point who are falling into this category of needing help, and they have, to this point, have not been aware of all of the things that are available. So it, you know, it's not just the food pantry, but, you know, the breakfasts that, the community breakfasts that happen, you know, et cetera, what Lions do, you know. Is there some kind of coordinated effort to try to figure out how we can reach seniors who might be falling into some food insecurity? I'm sorry, that's a term I shouldn't use. Falling into hunger right now and may not know where to turn.
Well, I mean, I do know, like, our senior services, you know, they don't just serve, you know, the people who come to the community center. Especially over the last few years, they've made a concerted effort to, you know, reach out to, you know, Park Road, you know, some of the other income-adjusted, you know, housing situations around town, you know, through things like informal meet and greets and things of that, information sessions there. Yeah, so there is a connection.
There is a connection there. But for folks who aren't in those properties, who may be living in their houses and have, you know, basically have fallen into this, maybe they're either newly retired or, you know, semi-retired or some kind of situation where they haven't really even availed themselves of these
Yeah.
services, but they've found themselves in this spot right now because maybe they got laid out, maybe they got laid off and they've been involuntarily retired, or something like that.
Is there gonna be any like mailings going out through the town, like anything like water bills or anything we might be
You
able
know,
to put something?
I wonder if we
That's
can
a
do
good
something
idea.
through the tax bills that would be going out at the end of the year. I know that this is a little late, but, and hopefully things will be, there'll be some
Better.
kind of
Yeah.
resolution. Probably won't be fixed, though.
So not only, so a lot of people do not get paper tax bills. I think a lot of people are getting them online.
Electronic, yeah.
So as they come online or as they get notified in that email that, you know, their tax bill is ready, I mean, I think what we're saying is as many ways that we can get this information out, the better.
Yeah, and there's been some, a couple of really good ideas here that will help us with that.
Would it be possible to have the flyer that you currently have, or if it hasn't been made, make up a flyer and talk to the postmaster down at the Ashland Post Office to be able to
Yeah.
give it to his drivers and goes in everyone's mailbox?
Unless it has postage, they can't put it in the mailbox, and the postal service can't take it.
Okay.
How about this, if you have some ideas, maybe, if you could send it to us, after you have some time to think,
Yeah.
think about it, maybe something, I don't know, you're probably like me, where things will wake you up at like 2
Yeah.
in the morning, like, oh my gosh.
One other thing I was just thinking, do we have volunteers that would be willing to make deliveries of food pantry things? I'm thinking of seniors, I'm thinking of people that may not be comfortable
Going there.
going to the food pantry. Yeah.
We recently put out an ask for volunteers to deliver food, doing just that, and
Yeah.
we have a bunch now,
Oh,
so.
that's awesome.
Yes,
Yeah, a lot of
yeah, the
people
community
volunteer for that.
support has been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, people have been asking, people have been asking me, I'm sure others too,
Yeah.
about like, people want to help. Like, that's the thing. It's like, people want to give all sorts of stuff. And I know, like, for instance, Craig Morrison, who did the Halloween house, raised probably a ton of, like, both financial donations and physical donations to the food pantry, which is amazing. I know a simple gesture is another mechanism for donations. I know we were talking about the whole space issue and stuff like that, and people are very generous, so, but people want to be able to help in any way. So if they do want to, if they want to volunteer to drive or do deliveries or whatever, to contact our human services?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
okay, thanks.
thank you.
One more thing, I did look at the website and it is there, but, it would be really nice if there was a link that you could click and pay, donate. I mean, we need to figure something out to be able to do that. There's so many more people who would donate.
And there is a way, it's through City Hall systems, so you actually have to go to the treasurer collector's site and go through there, and you can click donate and have it go directly
So
to the food pantry.
we should put a link to that
We
here
just
and
put that out
explain.
today via social media, and then we can add that to the site as well.
Yeah, because I know we do things electronically,
Does
so.
does it make sense to go through City Hall systems, or would it be better to go to the Ashland Emergency Fund?
It took us a while to figure out between different permissions and working with different people, this was the best way.
I think a lot of towns use that to collect monies for a variety of things. Whatever, platform they use for collecting bills, basically, that they also use it for other things, so.
So could that money go to the emergency fund itself or how does that money get distributed?
So you'd have to make your check payable to the Ashland Emergency Fund if you want it to go to the Ashland Emergency Fund.
Okay.
And then if you do a donation through City Hall systems and write in the food pantry, that would go directly to the food pantry, and that's restricted for food pantry use only.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
The only other question or concern I have is, I know that like with the holidays coming up, people are going to be very generous. And if this situation or if conditions generally get worse, after January 1st, I'd like to make sure that we understand, continue to understand what the needs are and continue to be able to get, coordinate messaging and to be able to coordinate all the other logistics that you've mentioned, you know, and, you know, make sure that we still have that plan and we're still, have a plan and we're still like executing it insofar as communication and donation collection and such. I suspect that we may need to start thinking in those terms in a little bit more longer term, outside of this government shutdown, this specific government shutdown that's going ahead. So just a thought as we proceed.
And just thank you for working so hard to try to make it,
Absolutely.
you know,
Yes.
possible for people in our community to have access to food. You know, we are one of the only food pantries locally that is town-run. You know, you have Daniel's Table in Framingham, it's a nonprofit. You have Project Just Because in Hopkinton, which is also a nonprofit. And because we are town-run, you know, it's.
Holliston has a town-run
Do they?
food pantry.
Okay. But just, you know, thank you for working so hard to make it happen, so.
Maybe we can ask Adam during the fall town meeting
Yeah.
to make the announcement, you know, when he does all his announcements right before the meeting starts.
When,
Could we ask people to bring donations to town meeting? Have
Oh,
some
it's
bins
a
out
great
in front of
idea.
town meeting?
Why not?
I love that idea.
Before they come in, there's
Yeah.
some bins there as they check in or something, and bring donations to
I'll
them.
make sure I bring my truck.
Yeah.
No, that's a great
One
idea.
thing,
That's a great
I
idea.
think, you know, Makita, you had asked, you know, just kind of like our response and, you know, if it needs to be elevated at all. I will say we've already, we're looking to increase Yushi's hours by 4 hours a week. So, yeah, 4 hours a week. So, you know, we are trying to ramp up, you know, kind of the resources that we put into that. And by the way, she does an awesome job.
Who is that?
She's amazing. Yushi,
Oh.
she works at our
Yeah.
food pantry. She's our food
gonna meet
resource
with her next
coordinator. She's amazing.
Great.
But yeah, we're boosting up her hours to.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Good. Are we good with this? Ready to move on? Good dialogue and for a great project, for a great need. Thank you, Ashland, as always. Remembering our people first. Next is discuss the special town meeting warrant articles. So Michael and/or Catherine, I will turn it over to the two of you.
While you're warming up your voices, just to add, because Brandy said QR code sort of under her breath over here when we were talking about, so maybe on the town meeting, the handouts that we print, put a QR code so people can donate money, because sometimes that's easier for people, and it might be easier for the food pantry, right, to handle donations as opposed to
Physical
Oh, for sure.
food.
the physical,
sure.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so, sorry, go ahead.
No.
I hope you warmed up.
No, that was good. It was just the right amount, Claudia, just the right amount. Yeah, so just ahead of town meeting, which will be, you know, the next time that we meet and you meet as a body. You know, we wanted to run through the warrant articles and really just let you know of a couple changes that are being made. And then I think what we could do is just, Catherine, if you just want to run through the articles, and then we also have to determine who the speakers are going to be for the articles. And so I've got a suggestion after each one, and I'll throw that out after Catherine's done with each one.
Sure. So looking at the special town meeting with the 17 articles listed, Article 1 is our free cash appropriation. Article 2 is our budget adjustment.
And, oh, nice. No, that's good. And so I think Cindy and I can handle those if you're okay with those two.
Article 3 is our property tax exemption.
And then, Joe, you usually
do that one, yeah, but
You wanna-
as always,
Okay. It's okay.
I get passed over.
All right, and Articles 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 are CPC articles. With Article 4, there's a motion to withdraw this one. And Article 6, there's also a motion to withdraw. That's the town forest acquisition of 11 acres. That's an update.
Yeah, and then CPC, Aaron would be presenting those.
And then Article 9 is the Historical Commission. That's the acceptance of Mass General Law, Chapter 272, 73A.
Makita, would you want to intro that one?
Happy to do it.
Okay.
Article 10, this is the acceptance of Mass General Law, Chapter 138, 12D. This is the alcohol license with the ability for people to transfer that to all alcohol.
Brady, would you, just because Yolanda, and I know is doing comp plan.
Yeah, so 10? Article 10?
Yes.
Yep, okay. I'll do the liquor. Sorry.
You said that with a smile.
Yeah, too bad we can't have samples. Okay.
Hand out nips, yeah.
Oh, don't even go there.
No nips, no nips.
Article 11 is our bylaw update to our in-law
Just throw it away
bylaw.
properly.
I would say that's Tricia.
Okay.
Tricia will do that one.
Article 12, it's our bylaw update for the dog kennel bylaw.
Any takers on that one?
I'm willing to,
I didn't dare make a recommendation
I'll do
on that
that.
one. So,
unless someone else wants it, but,
No, thank you.
or Claudia, if you want it, because you don't have one yet. Okay.
Okay.
Be quiet. I'll be quiet.
Article 13 is our bylaw to update the municipal tax pay agreement.
it's got Cindy written all over it.
Perfect. Article 14, accept the Donnelly gift parcel. So this is the one that will be removed. And
So it's withdrawn here, but
Yes.
then, okay.
yes.
So should someone say that? Like, should,
Yeah.
I think the question is, do you want to let Rob speak to these, 14 when it gets moved over to the other one, and 15, meaning the other warrant, or, do you want to say something?
well, would it be good, like, maybe Claudia is the one who says we're withdrawing it here and it's going to the special town meeting?
Sure.
After this special town meeting?
That's
Or would
fine.
Rob do it? I think it would be good if we do it, because it says select board.
Yep. Well, Claudia can withdraw it and
Yeah,
then,
Claudia
and
can
then,
withdraw it
yeah,
and
and
then
introduce Rob
introduce
on
it during the next one.
doing the special, yeah.
Thanks, Claudia.
Not a nip or
Article-
two.
Article 15, the acceptance of conservation restriction.
Yeah, have Rob explain that one. He's the one, I mean, ultimately, the board will need to sign it, but it's got to
Yeah.
go to town meeting first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Article 16 is the endorsement of the comprehensive plan, Envision Ashland. And Article 17 is the citizen petition, the Elon Musk resolution.
Are they withdrawing, or are they?
I can speak to that if you
I was
don't
about to say, is that coming up in correspondence?
It,
Okay.
well, it's not coming up in correspondence. I've talked to him over the phone. With respect to that, I did email him this morning, but I haven't got a response back from him. He would like a subcommittee. We can discuss that at a later meeting, and I told him we couldn't do that tonight because it's not part of our agenda. And he didn't have a problem with that. I said, but just understand, our meeting is after the fall town meeting. I said, so you need to withdraw that on town meeting floor, and we will have that discussion in December. And he was okay with that. You're welcome.
Now, will there have to be a motion to withdraw it, or can he just stand up and say, we're withdrawing it?
Could
Tell
Adam,
Tell Adam.
I would say we should tell Adam, he should,
Yeah.
well, not us, but there should be a
Right,
discussion
because
with
someone from the
Adam.
citizen petition should let Adam know
Yeah.
that they're gonna be withdrawing it.
Yep.
And then Adam can just do it, because
Yeah.
I would hate for them to stand up to withdraw it, and then there'd be people like, we don't wanna withdraw
Right.
it, or, there'd be discussion or debate or something.
Yeah, and I
so.
think you would have to open up, you'd have to make a
Right, there'd have
motion
to be
to
a motion to
discuss.
discuss, right. So if it's
And,
just,
yeah,
okay.
it's just, yeah.
okay.
So that's where we're at.
And then if we move to the second special town meeting of the night, there's one warrant article, and that's the acceptance of the Donnelly gift parcel.
Do we have to wait for this first warrant to be completed before we go into the special town meeting? Or could we do it at that point in time when that warrant article comes into play?
I think the discussion has to happen during the second one.
During this,
'Cause
no,
if
no,
you're
what I
withdrawing
mean,
it,
Check with Lisa.
I would think that if we're withdrawing it during the first special town meeting, that there's, because there won't be a motion to discuss, right? You have to make a motion and
Right.
second it to allow discussion. So if it's being withdrawn, you can't have discussion because there's no motion to discuss.
Yeah, and so then we have to close we have to
close
close
the
the
first
first
town
town meeting,
meeting.
open up the second town meeting, and
Yes.
then have the discussion.
Yeah, I don't, I don't know for sure. We need to check with Lisa, I think, on that. But, because I do think you can, similar to what happens here sometimes with hearings, you could suspend the first town meeting, open up the second special town meeting, conduct your business, close that one, and then
And
and
then go
then
back.
close it.
suspend.
So
Get
will
the-
Lisa work with Adam and
Yeah.
then?
Okay.
To figure out the
I feel
sequence.
like once we know that, like next week, we need to have, like, let's sit down and do a 5-minute or 2-minute, this is what's gonna happen at town
Okay.
meeting. It's
Yeah.
gonna be a little bit different.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
let's prepare people that this is what we're doing, so they don't get there and go, what are you doing?
What's happening?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and so I would say, like, are we gonna plan to post a meeting before town meeting? Like, for
Yeah.
us, so
Yeah,
that we could go
typically we
kind of
do.
go
Yes.
through
Yeah,
that?
6 o'clock.
And then
Yeah.
that would be helpful.
Yeah,
Does that work for everybody, 6 o'clock?
yeah.
Okay, just wanted, that was gonna be something I was gonna bring up at the board, my board report, but seeing that we're talking
Yeah,
about it
6
now.
o'clock on
Okay.
the 19th.
And
yeah.
also, like, could we make sure that we get something in writing from Rob that it's going to be, that they're going to withdraw? Because
Yep.
if it's not withdrawn, I would probably recommend that, in that meeting, that 6 o'clock meeting before town meeting, that our board discusses it, and if we want to take a position on it
Yeah.
as a board, so,
I think
Yeah.
that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
so.
good approach.
But, I think if he can send something in writing saying that they're gonna withdraw it, that would be,
I'll take care of that tomorrow.
thank you.
I have like an operational question about town meeting. So like, I noticed that like before people speak, they give their address. Is that required? Because I'd like to not do that going forward.
That is, it's something that used to be.
Right,
When I checked ages ago.
Right.
But it might have changed.
yeah, how can we,
Can we check with Lisa on that?
yeah, can we check that?
that's what
Because like,
Lisa-
I just think because we televise this on cable and it's on the internet, people giving their addresses just out there makes it a lot easier for people to be
I
harassed.
agreed.
And I think that's something we need to change. People are getting checked into town meeting, they're being verified as voters, there's no real reason for them to not, they can affirm that they're an Ashland resident. I
Yeah.
think that's enough for that gathering, but I'd like to see that practice ended if we can.
It's a good point.
Okay. All right. Are we good with that?
Mhm.
Any other questions or comments? We good?
AI says a lot of things.
I guess the
Okay.
only other thing I would say is, you can put anyone's name into Google and, I understand
Yeah.
they're saying it out loud and stuff,
It
but
makes it easier, and a lot of folks avail themselves of data scrubbing services at this point, so you can't do that. So if someone's going through the trouble of doing that, and then they're required to actually say it in a forum where somebody could use that information.
right. The only thing is that people who are not registered voters and who do not live in Ashland can go into town meeting.
Yeah,
And
they have to sit in a
can-
specific
they have to-
location.
No.
Not anymore?
No, you get a different colored card, or you get a card. When you register for town meeting, if you come into town meeting and you are a registered voter, you get a specific colored card.
Right.
So anyone can come in to town meeting.
So they're not,
So
So they
there,
can show their card,
Yeah,
you know, to verify that they're a voter.
yeah, let's,
You know? There
let's
are
get some
ways around it.
clarification from
Yeah,
Lisa
I just-
on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But. Okay, I think we were at C, so I think the next one's D.
yeah, correspondence. No, sorry, my bad. Yep. Consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion to, no? What, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, authorization of the performance, I'm sorry. I got my shut eyeballs in. Authorize the town manager's performance incentive payment per the employment agreement. This is just for total transparency of the contract that we have, and we talked about it. And it's been agreed upon. So it's that time of year to acknowledge that, and this was after the evaluation, and there was a percentage going on to the agreement that we made with the town manager on his collective bargaining agreement, and different, the total number of points that he got on his evaluation. Maybe Yolanda, what was it, was it 4.5 or something like that, I'm trying to remember what the total value, the total.
4.22.
Thank you.
I was gonna say,
4.22.
I don't quite remember. It's been
I
a
knew it
few
was,
months.
I knew it was a little higher than 4, but, okay, 4.22.
I
Thank you.
move that we authorize the payment per the employment agreement.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you. We're good, thank you. Continue the good work. Okay. Now I can go to discuss selectmen's correspondence. One of the, one of the issues that I have with some of the emails that we received could weigh heavy into human resources and potential issues when it came to an employee's lack of response. So my response to the individual that was questioning permits,
An employee's lack of response? Was that something sent to everybody?
No,
was-
it wasn't
no,
sent.
it was
No. So I
No.
think the, just to kind of backtrack a little bit, the genesis of this is that the emails that are sent to the select board.
Right.
Email address
Yeah.
that you as chair respond to.
Yeah.
We do not see the responses.
Right.
So the thought was that the responses go to Susan so they can be put in our packet. So we can just see
yeah,
how things are responding, how you're responding to
two,
things.
right.
And that,
Oh, okay.
you know, like that was
Yeah, so I think a couple of years ago, actually, after I came on the board, I asked for some way to know what.
Right,
how-
that someone
Right.
has responded.
That somebody
Right.
has responded, because I'd had the experience. of
Right, and we've
not
been trying to
getting-
figure out the
being
best way to do
responded
it,
to.
and-
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
in any
So,
case, and that
and
was decided that we would receive PDFs of responses. And so I think that this is,
And that could be a violation of open meeting laws if everybody got the same the same PDF files to everybody.
How is that a violation of open meeting law? All you're doing is disseminating information. We're not responding, we're not
Well-
voting, we're not, who told you it could be a violation of open meeting law?
It's,
It's a fine line.
I thought Lisa had said
that's what Lisa said to do.
that we could get around open meeting law by putting it in the packet and then making sure we.
Well, if we put it in the packet, it becomes possibly public record, right?
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's okay, but I will ask Lisa again, but she was pretty,
Well, what did Lisa say, Joe?
she said it's a fine line between an open meeting law violation
And,
and potential if
just talk a little closer to your microphone.
if the emails that we receive and that I respond to is a direct result of somebody not happy with the performance of an employee that could end up possibly becoming a human resource.
So I
That's
think we're
different.
talking
That's
about two
different.
different things here, right? Because it sounds like
But
you
I'm
received
responding,
an
but I am
email
responding
right,
to an email from a resident
but
that came
directly to
direct.
you,
Yeah, we didn't get.
and the rest of the
Okay.
board did not get
All
copied.
right, okay.
And so
Right?
I think what you're trying to get at is the only things that you wanted essentially to be a part of this discussion or, part of the packet were emails that were sent to the select board
Yes.
and the response, the select board
Yes.
email
Yes.
and the
Okay.
response.
Even if that response is, so like if, this would be my suggestion,
Okay,
is if an email comes through, sometimes the emails need some research and to figure out like, what the clarification is or how to respond. But my suggestion would be an email comes through within a certain period of time, a few days or whatever, there's a response to that person that says, here's the information you requested, or I need to do more research,
Or thank you
we'll
for
get
your
back to you.
email,
Right.
and we'll take it under consideration.
and
And like,
so,
okay, that's
you
something we
know,
can do.
and then those emails, however we resolve it, get sent to Susan as part of our information that we get in our backup.
That goes
and
in
it
the
could,
back.
and if there's multiple ones, they could be put in the folder as correspondence response.
Right, yeah.
In the folder.
Yeah, and if there's stuff that's sensitive information, obviously, like everything else in our packets, it would get redacted
Right.
before
Yep.
things get
'Cause-
posted.
I mean, I get individual emails from people, but
Yeah,
Well, if somebody's emailing you, then.
directly, right, then
That's
it's a
between you
correspondence,
and them,
right,
right?
okay.
But when it's to the select board.
Well, oh, no, I
Yeah,
agree,
yeah.
I'm just like, because Joe's bringing up an email that he received
Yeah, we
directly to
didn't receive
him, that none of
But
us
it was
received.
directed as the chair of the Board of Selectmen.
Right, right,
So, as the chair, I feel that I'm responsible to provide you folks any and all responses that I provide somebody if it's directed to the chair. And if you don't
okay,
think,
that's,
if you
no,
don't.
I think that's fine, that's
Okay,
fine,
well,
but,
that's what I've been doing. So, as a result of that, I was told that I need to be very careful because it could be, there could be ramifications down the road.
Yeah, I think you might want to think about that because that would potentially open up any of your one-on-one, or I'll just, I don't want to say private, but, one-on-one communications.
I mean,
So could we
anything
just
in
start
our,
with if it was addressed to the select board?
Selectboard@ashlandmass.com.
That's it.
Bingo.
Okay.
I mean,
Yep.
anything in our select board emails, right, which is why you want to do stuff like that in your select board email, not a personal email, is available, right? If someone says, we want to hear, all the correspondence you had with Joe Smith about this issue, Paul Carpenter has access and can go into our town emails
Right.
Yeah.
and look for that stuff.
If there's a public records request.
If, right.
Yeah.
Right, I mean,
Yeah.
not just, yeah.
so, and if there's things that we do need to, like, discuss, then, it gets put on an agenda.
Right.
Right, if there's something that.
Okay. So basically then, the correspondences that I have, other than, well, again, they all came individually to me, except for
At
one.
this point, why don't you look through them and see which ones went to all of us? And then give them to Susan and ask her to forward the ones that went to all of us.
And if
You don't
there
have
are
to do it
other
now.
ones, and if there are other ones that you feel you need to talk to us about,
Yep.
that we need to be aware of, unless they're personnel issues,
Well, they could become. That
so that's
was
where we
the
have to
issue.
be
So
careful,
that's
because
where
we as
have to be
select
careful.
board
Right.
do not have any purview over personnel issues.
No. I know that. That's why I did not
Okay, so I
respond.
think we got a good path
I think so
forward.
too,
Okay.
which
All
I
right.
thought
Just
we
wanna
had
make sure.
before, but,
Yep.
okay.
So that's it. We're good.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
No opposed, so that's unanimous, 5-0.
Thank you
Okay.
for those who have stepped up to
Yep.
run.
Next is the town manager's report. Update on the tri-board meeting and the Housing Production Plan and Municipal Improvement Act, Empowerment Act, I'm sorry.
Sure. So, yeah, just the update on the tri-board meeting, obviously we met, a couple of weeks ago, had a good discussion, I think, about the financial situation for 2027 and just kind of the initial outlook and kind of laid out in broad terms how we got to this point and some of the things that we've done to stave off the predicament that we find ourselves in now. And so what came out of that meeting is we're going to assemble again on December 10th, and we'll figure out the exact, we might have come up with a time, I think we did, I don't remember it. Do you remember it right off the top of your head, Yolanda? I want to say 6:30, or was it 6?
You said 6:30, I think you said either 6:30 or 7.
Okay.
After the school committee finishes, they're going to meet early and then we're going to
Correct.
meet.
Okay. And then, so we'll have a discussion then, and so I've had an opportunity to talk to each of you since that meeting, just to ask what you feel like you need for that December 10th meeting. And so we, the majority of you talked about having different options to discuss. And when I talk about options, basically what would it look like if we did go for an override of a certain amount, and what would the consequences be of that, positive and negative? What if we just had something that, covered the deficit? What are the pros and cons of that? And then similarly, like, let's look at an option where we needed to make cuts. And understanding that we need to talk about that very delicately, because obviously no decisions will have been made by this point. How to basically talk about some of the consequences and ramifications of cuts in enough terms where people could get kind of an understanding of what that means without dealing with hard-edged specifics. And so that's what we plan on presenting. Our department head budgets are due on November 20th. I'd like to get the information for the tri-board meeting to you the Friday before the tri-board meeting. So it's going to be a fun holiday season for for the finance team as we start putting things together. I will say that I've had a couple conversations with Jim since the meeting, and he is asking his team to put together a couple of different scenarios as well. So I don't know exactly what the timing is. I think that was still being refined, but we should have some more information there. And yeah, I've met with the finance committee since the tri-board meeting. They they are obviously very interested in the discussion on the 10th, as is the school committee. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm just writing down.
No,
so I
no,
don't
it's
forget
okay.
it, but
So let's
you
move on
guys
to
have any
the
questions?
housing production
No?
plan.
Okay.
So I believe in your packet just was some email correspondence about us moving forward and starting our housing production plan. We're in a very good situation because our current plan expires in May of '26. And we are able to work with J.M. Goldson, who has been working with us on the comprehensive plan, and we're able to really kind of compress the time frame because of the previous work that they've done on the comprehensive plan as well. So we're
What's the
working with them.
contract cost for this?
I want to say it is 50.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I don't have that right in front of me. Yeah, definitely.
Is that a fair assessment on what it would cost to get this done?
Yeah, I believe it was actually a little bit more when we went with MAPC for the last one.
Okay.
Well, I feel like we had to do a little bit more,
There was a lot more
right?
work to
Because
be done.
I believe it had just expired.
Yeah.
It was during COVID, and there was some other things that we had to do that made that
Right.
our
we-
second one a little bit more
We
of a
broke
process.
it into two parts too, when we
Yeah.
did with MAPC, so just to kind of give people a sense of what the housing production plan is and does. The purpose of it is to stay in safe harbor, in safe harbor. Once our 40Bs are possibly permitted, and, it allows us to continue to stay in safe harbor as long as we're making progress towards.
Right, so take one step
subsidized.
back, right? You create a housing production plan to talk about what you think you're gonna be able to do on a yearly basis to get to your 10%.
Correct.
And then, once you have that, as long as you're meeting the goals that you've put into your housing production plan, it then allows you to be in safe harbor.
Thank you, Yolanda. That was much
Sorry.
better than what I said. So thank you.
I've been doing it a little bit longer, and so,
Well,
yeah.
I'm also kind of brain dead at this point tonight. The housing production plan that we did back in COVID is only good for 5 years, right? And then once we get this, and this is like a public process, there'll be public forums and opportunities for people to weigh in on things. Are they looking to utilize a lot of the information that they did on the comprehensive plan?
Yeah, it's actually, we're in, I think, a really good position because now it's talking about, okay, really it's going to be focusing on amplifying the strategies that are in the comprehensive plan related to housing. So it's like supercharging that, if that makes sense.
I just had one or two questions, unless people have other just general. So you're talking about who's involved. I know in the past, we've sort of created a committee, someone from the select board was part of it. Do you feel like you don't need that as part of this process, or I saw that you've already had a team start working with Goldson, it seems like, on some of this. So I just want to make sure we keep, I know there's a public meeting scheduled potentially in February. No, in January. I think we had one or two last year, and the last time we did it, and before that, we had a couple more. Are we feeling like the one is going to be enough because of how much is coming from the comprehensive plan?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there, a lot of
Right.
questions. So I think, to answer your latter one, yes, we feel like there was so much public participation. And a lot of it was focused on housing and opinions on housing. So definitely feel like we have met that standard.
Okay.
One thing I do want to point out is that I think part of this process, Goldson will be interviewing each of you, or would like to interview
Okay.
each of you as part of this, as well as members of the planning board as well, just to kind of get your thoughts and take on it.
Yeah, I'd actually like to get a little bit, I see the phases and what's going to happen in each phase, but I'd actually like to see the statement of work, or to see exactly what the deliverables are from Goldson, like what are we expecting them to do, as opposed to what our staff will be doing, as opposed to what we'll be doing, to support. I just want to be very clear on what, I want to make sure that my expectation, what am I really expecting here from the consultants? And I think it would be helpful. I think that level of transparency would be helpful in general, just for everybody to know as we embark upon this process.
Okay, so what are we getting?
Yeah, what are we
for
getting?
this? What are we getting for
Is
this?
that the case? So
Completed
what
What are we
housing
getting for
production plan.
$50,000?
Yes,
Fair
but
enough.
I think it would be helpful for people to know what effort specifically
Yeah.
goes into those sort of things, and what we should expect as we're going through this process.
For sure.
And I just would like to just kind of review a little history here. So previously, we would have, if we had a housing production plan, right, that would have gotten us into safe harbor had we met those goals year to year.
Correct,
But
so
we didn't make them because basically of two projects,
that is correct.
right? So,
And well, it's interesting, we did get a year of safe harbor out of you know, the
Pond Street.
UGC
Oh, UGC.
project, but because it was in litigation, it fell off, and so we didn't get that extra second year.
Right, and we would have, and the same then with Pond Street, is that true?
501, yeah.
Like,
We
yes,
would have gotten
yeah.
some safe harbor. So we had a plan to keep us from being in the situation that we're currently in terms of, you know,
Correct.
unbridled housing development. But we weren't able to meet the goals for reasons
Beyond our control.
none of our,
Beyond,
Out of
yeah,
our control.
totally beyond our control.
Right.
We did everything that we could
right,
in order to set ourselves up to better control, like, development that happens in town. It's just the private sector didn't follow suit this time. So, but it's interesting, Claudia, you know, it's such a good tool that communities have. You know, Ashland, for some reason, didn't have one until 2016. And so, you know, that was the first year we did it. And then we were able to count Cirrus, the 10% that we had in Cirrus. That gave us 2 years of safe harbor. And then, you know, we did gymnastics. Pete did gymnastics to do,
The last couple of years of that first housing production plan that we did.
yeah, so what was gonna happen was the UGC project was gonna be permitted after our first one had expired. And so Pete flipped it around to where he was able to do that and still maintain like full transparency, full hearing process and everything, to where we were able to get credit, that 1 year credit for UGC, even though we had hoped to get 2.
And we're still waiting.
Yeah, we're still waiting on
We're
that.
still waiting for the judge's decision. Though it was made in February, we still haven't received a written decision.
Did they make a decision in February? No, they
they haven't made
did
a
more
decision.
hearings and stuff, but they still haven't made a decision. There's been no decision.
right.
That's why we're still waiting for UGC.
Okay.
So, okay, and then, so the last item that's printed, I just did have one more after that, but, so the Municipal Empowerment Act was refiled by the governor. If you are a true municipal nerd, you know about this bill very much, and just all of the tools that it gives municipalities, everything ranging from giving towns the ability to fine utilities for double poles, to extending the borrowing term for certain projects, which would provide financial relief and, you know, be much more in line with how long capital, projects go along. You know, I included as part of your packet just a summary of everything that's in it.
Quick summary.
It is, there's a lot of stuff in there. And so the governor's office had asked me over the weekend if I would be willing to testify as part of a contingent of municipal leaders on a Tuesday, not this past weekend, so last weekend. And so testify this past Tuesday. So I did that, and,
Did you go into the State House?
yeah, I went to the State House. I should say it was in front of the Committee on Municipalities and Regional Government, which Jack Lewis co-chairs, along with Senator Becca Rausch. Intimidating group of people, I'll tell you. No. But, no, it was a very good discussion, very, obviously after we give our testimony, they ask us questions, et cetera, et cetera. But it's really interesting, I kind of keyed in my testimony on this concept of empowerment and giving communities choice. And that it's interesting that is a theme that's coming up more and more as we talk about things like MBTA communities law, as we talk about 40B, things where,
Everybody's fed up.
where, municipalities have no choice necessarily. So this is a good opportunity to kind of advance that.
So there is the expectation that they're gonna try and bring this out and vote it by the end of this, term.
That'd
the
be
end of the
great.
year.
That would be great, so they wouldn't have to refile.
We'll see what happens, though.
Be nice to be able to charge Eversource with all those double poles, would probably would reduce the deficit.
Just remember, though, it's, there's a process, and they get so many days, and,
Yeah.
and I think they've extended the number of days before you can start charging, or, I mean, that's been quite a discussion, how long before you can charge a utility for the double poles, and so.
How many years have we been requesting those?
Oh, we've been
poles?
talking about double pole issues for years,
It-
and not just here, but across
easily.
the Commonwealth, so.
Right.
Yeah, believe it or not, double poles was the feature, you know.
Was
piece.
it really?
Oh my gosh, they had a whole like sub-panel on
Double
double
poles.
poles.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
my word.
Yeah, we know how, we know how.
Yeah. Wow.
And then, before I get to my last item, Catherine, did you have anything? No? Yeah, and so the last thing is, you know, as Makita walks in, I want to, you know, on behalf of the staff and everybody, just acknowledge the passing of your brother, Sonny Warren, and, you know, our condolences to you and your family. You know, a lot of people don't know this. Makita does. I worked for SETI for a while before coming to Ashland. And I was thinking of just a couple of stories. Just one, you know, he was mayor in Newton from 2010 to 2018, I believe.
Yep.
Yeah. And so one thing from like a management perspective, one thing I learned is just the importance of assembling all your department heads. And every morning he would have us, like all of us, in his office and just kind of going around and checking in. Fortunately, he had a very big office. And he, you know, it was, it's something that to this day, like I remember. I meet with our department heads every other Monday. You know, not as often, but we meet for longer, and then also meet with our staff. And then, so that was more on the management end. And then, you know, just on more the human end, you know, we didn't get to work closely together a lot, but I remember one time I actually got into just a little bit of a fender bender, and I was actually late to that 9 a.m. meeting. And, oh man, I came in, I thought I was gonna get chewed out because I didn't think he had heard, but he had already heard. And I mean, just the level of concern on it, it was just like a switch. Like he went from kind of like serious to like all of this empathy and, you know, like, are you okay? You know, how's everybody, how are you all doing and everything? And it just, you just really saw the human aspect of him. So, you know, he was a dedicated public servant for many years as an appointed and elected official. And, you know, Makita, just, I know, you know, you were twins and you had, you know, that relationship. And, yeah, our condolences.
Thank you, Michael. Really appreciate that.
You all set?
I'm good.
Thank you. Well said. I think we all feel the same way, Makita. Board reports. Ms. Yolanda.
A couple things that I've attended. MAPC had their fall council meeting last week, and as a representative for Ashland, I was able to go to that. And what was very nice was the new executive director is Lizzie Wyatt, who has been the assistant and has had other roles. So it was nice to sort of see her step up after Mark Drayson has retired. That was and it's always a great way, again, in person, to connect with other people who are doing similar work that we're doing. Then this morning, I have a MMA policy committee, and our discussion was TOPA, which is Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Apartments. It's something that there's a coalition that's trying to get this into the House and Senate. There's bills already, but it hasn't had much traction yet. It was something that was presented to the Governor Baker, as part of the housing process that he was working on before he was done, he actually vetoed it because it does remove some of the rights from landowners as they go to sell their property, and I can forward the bill on to people if they're interested in it, to let you know about that. Couple things coming up: senior breakfast tomorrow morning at the community center. Ashland High School has their play coming up this weekend. I'm not quite sure what it is, but I saw advertisement for that. Metro West Regional Collaborative meeting on Zoom at 8 a.m. on the 20th. I'll see you all at town meeting on the 19th. And then, Michael, you shared your story about Seti Warren, and I met him once. I think it was either 2015 or 2016. There's an organization called Governing that does stuff across the country, and they would come to Boston and do these in-person sessions. And I was still learning how to be a select board member, and I remember going to one, and Seti gave a session, and I remember sitting in on his session, and I don't know exactly what it was about, but afterwards I went and chatted with him because the information that he gave was very informative, and he saw that I was from Ashland, and he asked if I knew you. And I didn't know you at that time, but we had a nice little conversation. I just felt like he was very informative, and I think I would, give my condolences, but he was someone who really shared his knowledge with people and was very giving of his time and energy. And it's, again, condolences to your family, but it's a loss to our community as well. That's all I got.
Thank you. Makita.
Yeah, hi. So a couple of things. First off, thank you, Yolanda, for your remembrance of my brother. It was very, very beautiful to hear. I'll say a few words about him when I wrap up my board report. So I was at the Corner Spot closing. It was awesome. It was fun. Just one of those incredible days and events where you got to really experience the beauty of community here in Ashland. So great job, Corner Spot closing folks, and just another great year. I also want to extend my thanks to the Ashland Indians, where Claudia and myself had a chance to attend their Diwali celebration, and that was a really great time with some really great music, some great dancing, and some awesome food. So we had a wonderful day there. You can fill in the rest there, Claudia. I do just want to acknowledge, first off, thank you so much to everyone who has reached out about my brother's passing. I have not felt the arms of the community around myself and my family held so tightly and so genuinely. I've not felt it's like this before this, but I feel very held up and supported by this wonderful community. I'm not going to say too much about Seti, because I'm going to say a few things about him at his wake tomorrow between 4 and 7 in Newton, Massachusetts at Newton City Hall. And then his funeral will be at 10:30 a.m. on Friday morning at Our Lady's in Newton. But I will just say that people were asking me today, my goodness, you just lost your brother unexpectedly on Sunday, and you're going to come down here and do your select board meeting. And I said, of course I'm going to come down here and do a select board meeting. This is, in my way, a way to pay tribute to him. He was, in my mind, the consummate public servant. I recall back in 2010 when he got sworn in, 6 weeks after that, my father passed away suddenly, and he continued to serve the people of Newton. And likewise, I can't think of any place I'd actually rather be tonight than here at Select Board serving the people of Ashland. So thanks again for your wonderful words, and thank you for your wonderful, heartfelt comments, gestures, and actions. So, yeah.
Thank you, Makita. Claudia.
Thank you. Makita, I did not have the pleasure of ever meeting Seti, but I certainly knew of him. And in reading his obituary, I realized that I really wish he was somebody I had known. But I'm glad that I do see a lot of him in you, I think.
Thank you.
And so, I'm grateful that I know that part of him. And yes, we did go to Diwali together. I did. You know, it's just, it's always very, very fun, and it's just so vibrant and festive, and, you know, just even the clothes and everything, the food, everything is just so rich of their culture. So I really enjoyed that. You know, I just had a couple of things. You know, I expected that 40B was going to be on here. I thought we were going to have that as a standing thing on our agenda. Just, I know that people are still waiting for the DEP and the EPA to respond to the questions, and you know, I just think that's something that we just need to continue to, you know, I mean, we need to get those questions answered from them. I don't know, is there some kind of pressure we can put on them, or?
Yeah, so I can give you a brief update.
Great.
I think what came in today is, I believe Lisa Thuet from EPA had addressed the questions, and Jasmine, I believe, was in the process, sent an email tonight, of putting those, updating the website with,
Okay.
with those answers.
Okay, that's awesome to hear. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You know, I know that these things weigh on you as well, so it's unfortunate then when they have to kind of drag on. You know, as we get ready for our conversation on the 10th, it strikes me that we need to be better at communication, engaging the public. And I'm not sure, I mean, I know we talk about that a lot, but when I think about the whole 40B thing, and I think, you know, there's gonna be so many people who are gonna be surprised, right? And on some level, it's like, well, how can you be surprised? You know, there's been a relatively fair amount of communication about that, but it is reality. And I think that as we go forward in terms of conversations about the future of the town and the economics, and that, I think we need to make sure that we find some ways to really get down into in the homes of people, so that it becomes part of their conversation and understanding at their dinner tables. And one thing I wondered about too, I think at one point we were looking at some of the comparisons that could be made among towns, and I think the Collins Institute was supposed to get us some information. Are we making progress on that?
Yeah, do you have I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so there's two phases. So the first phase, the final draft should be to us in November, so this month. And then phase 2, our first draft, should be to us this month as well. So more to come.
Okay, all right, good, because I think it's important that we have that information. And then, do we have any, when will we have final numbers from the state from this year? In
For
terms of-
FY '26
Yeah.
or '27, the one we're planning for?
No, 26 for,
We already got the final numbers.
we do in terms of free
Meaning for
cash
free
and all that?
cash?
No, I thought you meant like the final state aid
Oh,
numbers. No, free cash, I don't know. I mean, I'm expecting it soon. I mean, it was submitted last week. It should, yeah, I would hope by the end of the week.
This week or
We
next
have
week?
to have it for town meeting, right? It has to be certified before town meeting.
Well, yeah. I mean, for
'Cause
us to make the
if-
appropriation.
Because if we don't have it certified before town meeting, we can't make the appropriations, right?
Correct.
So we expect it sometime next week, or?
I'm
we have
hoping
to-
by the end of this week. Yeah. I mean, so we're hoping for around, I think 3 million, so.
How much are we are we?
3, remember we had the ARPA funds that flowed through?
Oh, right, we used ARPA funds to flow through so that we wouldn't lose them. Okay.
Okay, and that might take some more explanation again, too, right? That whole process with the ARPA funds?
Oh, it could, yeah.
Yeah. And, let's see, I guess, the only other thing is that I meant to ask for the Valentine estate to be put on this meeting, the Valentine property, but maybe we could get that on the next meeting that we have.
Sure.
All right. All right, I think that's all for me. I know sometimes I end up asking questions during this, but sometimes I don't know when to jump in other times during the meeting, so it becomes sort of a opportunity for me to clarify some things. I was kind of interested, actually. I thought we might have a discussion after we had, in terms of the tax rate and the split tax and thing. I thought we might have a little discussion when we seconded it. But in any case, I just was a little bit curious about, how much of a negative impact that is to businesses, and, we have so few in town. What businesses would it really negatively impact?
Are you talking about the shift?
Yeah, the split, if you had a.
Yeah, well, it would impact all businesses. I think what Don, what's in your packet is what for the average valuation.
Right, but I was thinking, while on one hand, $96 for the average homeowner might not seem like a lot, but if we end up talking override, we're talking, you're gonna get $400, but now maybe we could reduce it to $300, that maybe that's a conversation worth having. So.
Could be. I mean, I think you got to think, the alternative is the.
What does it do to our business owners, right? And absolutely, that would be something I'd want to more fully understand. What businesses are we talking about? Do I care if Kitty Fenwell, maybe not, if they pay more? I'm not sure that I.
Well, the thing is are they going to be paying so much that they look to leave? And so then, if that's the case, then you almost have that law of unintended consequences, where now you're going to have even less of the commercial to absorb, the tax burden, and so more of it gets shifted onto the residential side. So,
I understand. I just, think maybe sometimes we should have those conversations and,
I mean, I don't want to, I'll just say this, I think, now, I'm not going to rain on your parade. All I'm going to say is that I'd like to kind of start that, I'd like to get a little bit more clear understanding of what our options are going forward for next year insofar as what we talked about tonight. I'm actually really curious about if there's any way to, focusing on apartment buildings, seeing if they can, more than 30 units, if there's some way to be able to collect, to shift some of that burden there, because just so that we can pay for the folks who are in those apartment buildings more effectively. But I don't want to get into that kind of policy discussion right now, but
So-
I'd love to kind of explore some options.
Real quick on that, in November, MMA put out the fiscal report that they had. Then there was discussion of how can we, instead of just, getting rid of 2.5 or doing, one of the discussions that they're looking at is how can we tax rental property, large apartments differently than regular residential
Single.
and as commercial. So they're looking, it's a discussion that's already starting at certain levels at the MMA, because for apartments, to your point, right, if we could tax them, yes, they're residential, but they're actually commercial.
But actually commercial, there's somewhere.
But
in
for
there-
some communities, you don't want to do a split tax rate because it's not enough.
Exactly.
But they are not true residential.
Right.
So how can you add a third thing to potentially tax them differently?
That's what I'd like
The
to see.
discussion is happening at certain levels at the state.
Yeah, and I
You
do
make
know
a new
that,
classification under
Almo-
apartments or.
Or with,
Right.
Yeah.
Before,
potential communities can opt into that as an option.
As an option.
But it's being discussed.
That's exciting, and that's exactly what the kind of conversations that I'd like to see here. I know that in other municipalities, they're looking at apartment buildings to be, charged at a commercial rate. I don't know if that's the answer. I think there was a proposal, the Boston City Council discussed something similar to that a couple of weeks ago, and I don't know where that went, but I don't know if that's the answer. But I think something that the MMA, as you described, Yolanda, might be something more interesting to explore, and I'd like us to take a look at that. So, thank you.
Brandy, you're up, young lady.
Are you all set? Yeah, okay. Just a couple quick things. One, just wanted to thank the Ashland Farmers Market for, they wrapped up their season. We did our last round of select board office hours that day. Yeah, it feels like forever ago. So that brings us to our annual discussion of, do we do office hours in a different location, and when that would be, so think about that. We don't have to talk about it tonight, but maybe there's an event, or maybe there's something where we can plug into it. There's going to be the Thanksgiving farmers market. I don't know if we want to sit out there for a few hours. It might be cold, but it might not.
I think depending on the weather. The other thing that we did last year was, we were at the library when they had their book sales on the first of the month.
Yeah.
So we could look at that.
Okay.
Holiday stroll, we're looking at potentially, there was something we were gonna do during the holiday stroll. I forget what discussion we had about something during the holiday stroll.
We talked about that last time, I
We had-
remember.
I
Right,
think
but
we
not
had
about
talked about-
select board meeting hours, but
No, I
something
think it was
else, but.
more about, was it getting feedback on like a potential?
Oh, input on the override
Yeah,
and values and stuff like that.
Because it'll be
So,
post
town meeting.
town meeting and post tri-board, I think, too,
It'll be before the tri-board,
before the tri-board.
right,
Okay,
so,
okay,
but yeah, so those are
But-
some options, but
yeah, okay.
depending on weather.
Okay, all right. So I'm just throwing that out there. I did want to say that, although I'm late to the game, I finally signed up for committee assignments as a liaison. I was the last one.
I wasn't
feel
going
bad.
to say anything, but thank you.
Yep, so, just for the
Are
record,
they now all full?
the only one that's not full is the Council on Aging, because they
Right.
meet during the day.
Yeah,
And so I can't do that, but.
Yeah.
we'll have to take a
But-
look at.
Why is everybody looking at me?
Either you or Claudia.
I mean,
Potentially.
potentially,
So I did take, just for the record,
you do.
She does.
just for the record, I took Concom, Sustainability, and ZBA. So, so thank you for your patience with me, and I'm sorry, I'm so late. I'm usually not the last one to do things. And then just a reminder that we do have a planning board meeting tomorrow, because we're doing an
Yeah.
appointment.
Zoom, 7:30.
At 7:30, I might be on the train coming home, so I will be,
Might be in the car.
yeah. So, but it should take she's not even gonna have Angel come. But
She's not gonna have it come.
no, she's not gonna have her come. But basically, Tricia needs to recuse herself from a project that's gonna be at their next meeting after that. So, which is why they need an associate member, and they need it appointed at this meeting, so that's why they're doing that. And I think that's it. There was something else I wanted to say, and now I can't remember again.
So we will have a quorum for tomorrow night, though.
We should,
Okay,
yeah,
okay, just want to make sure.
yeah, and it should be quick.
Randy mentioning committee assignments and liaisons reminded me of the email we received from Rob Scherer regarding, he is now the chair of the Upper Charles Trail. I think we just
Yep.
got that today.
Yep.
And they want to come, but I'll try to connect with him as the
I'm
select
talking
board
to-
liaison.
I'm talking to him tomorrow about the other thing, so I could,
Right, but I mean,
Okay, oh, that's
I
right.
mean,
you're
you could
the
talk to him
liaison.
too, but as the liaison, so.
Yep, you're right.
Okay.
I won't step on your toes. Not my style.
All right, I think that's it for me, so,
Thank you.
thank you.
I know. Very brief. Very, very brief. Makita, you and I have already had our conversation, and you know how I feel, and my blessings are there. Affordable Housing Trust meeting we had last week, and Habitat for Humanity. If anybody's looking to volunteer, I have the information as to how to about go and who the contact person is. Be happy to provide it to
Can
you
you
all.
share that out to the board and maybe
Yep.
we can find a
Yep,
board date?
Yep, we can do that, absolutely. And they were also interested, down the road, once this project gets done, they may be interested in looking at the Affordable Housing Trust put an RFP out about doing Olive Street and doing a project down there with Habitat being the builders, which would be awesome. So that was that meeting. We had a roadway traffic study committee meeting last week as well. Again, a lot of the residents and neighbors are concerned about the rate of speed that's happening and potential sidewalks along Chestnut and Cedar Street, which we already explained that that is part of a large plan for sidewalks and things of that nature. So it's not like we're not gonna get it done, but it's part of a plan that needs to be, being worked on, so. And we had, last Thursday, we had our annual Halloween parade and party, our 36th year doing it. It was a great time. We had roughly 125 families show up, with 2 or 3 children at each, so it worked out to be pretty well. There weren't many candy bags left over. Little bit, it was just lots of fun. Lots of fun. The outfits were fantastic. I do
The
want,
town event on Wednesday night was.
oh, that was crazy.
Unbelievable.
So that's
The
like,
traffic
I was just gonna say that, be prepared for 1060 Main Street. That's what it's gonna look like. The traffic downtown. It was at a halt. It was at a halt. It was at a halt.
Beth and I and
Yeah.
Catherine were outside, watching the front.
I just want to remind folks that the APD is going to be enforcing the no parking ban starting in next week, November. I think it's November 15th that they start, and it's right up until April. So from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., there's no overnight parking. So just be aware of that. Don't be surprised if you see a little yellow tag on your windshield as a warning and a reminder. After that, then you may find a parking citation on there. And now that move the clocks back a bit and it's darker out in the afternoon, please be aware of the kids that are walking home from school late in the afternoon, because it starts to get that twilight area. And then also the kids on their e-bikes, and we'll deal with that at another meeting, another time, so just please be prepared. And again, we have our Zoom meeting, and that's it. So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Oh, second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good night, and thank you. We'll
See you on November 19th, the town meeting.
That's right.